championship. This year, the Sooners are stalking number 8. So far, they've answered every question. Their winning streak stands at 20. Today, Eric Crouch welcomes OU to Nebraska's Field of Dreams. And the greeting committee here is known simply as the Black Shirts. Last year in Norman, Crouch and Nebraska opened a 2-touchdown lead on the Sooners. But a circus catch by Andre Wolfolk sparked the comeback, and the Sooners roll. Now for the 80th time, Oklahoma and Nebraska. Oh, what a day this is in Lincoln, Nebraska, folks. Dial P for perfect. I mean, we're talking 60 degrees. We're talking a renewal of a classic. It's Oklahoma and Nebraska. The BCS standings came out this week, and look who heads the list. OU and Nebraska. The Cornhuskers only 3.5 points behind them. The BCS, of course, will determine which two teams will play in the Rose Bowl for the national championship. Well, welcome, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger. I guess everybody who's a college football fan's got a favorite Oklahoma-Nebraska game. Mine happened to be 30 years ago. I'm sure that Oklahoma fans have got a different one, but through the years, these two great schools have slugged it out, and what a rivalry it's been. You know, the two teams respect each other so much. That's one of the differences in this great rivalry. And this could be just the first of 2 meetings this year. Remember now, these two schools could well play for the Big 12 championship December 1st in Dallas. Time now for our national anthem. Let's go to the PA announcer.
And now, please rise with the gentlemen removing their hats as Grammy Award-winning soprano and Opera Omaha star Sylvia McNair sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ring clear, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And our thoughts and prayers go out to the young men and women who are carrying the flag of the United States around the world today. The kickoff is coming up. Let's go now to New York and John Saunders and Terry Bowden.
Brent, thanks a lot. It's the ABC College Football Mobile Update. We'll get you out to Nebraska against Oklahoma in a moment. That's number 1 versus number 2 in the Bowl Championship Series standings. But take a look at these streaks. Something's got to give here. Oklahoma's won 20 straight, 9 straight away from home, 8 straight wins against top 10 teams. For Nebraska, it's been 19 games since they lost at home. They've won 10 straight games and 5 straight home wins against Oklahoma. It's going to come down probably to some of the intangibles.
Well, the difference in this game should be the quarterbacks. Eric Crouch has started 37 games. Jason White has only started 1. I've always said in championship seasons, the team with a veteran quarterback wins. But in this game, I've still got to go with Oklahoma.
Go against yourself. Why not? This guy's 32-5 as a starter. But remember, one of those 5 losses was to Oklahoma. Jason White wasn't pulling the strings. He will today. We'll be back after a message and a word from our ABC stations.
This ABC College Football Update brought to you by Speed Pass. Today's way to pay. It's free from mobile.
It's one of the grand entrances in college football. And the sea of red welcomes One of the great scenes in all of college football. My partner, Gary Danielson, is here. And Gary, we do great defenses, but the quarterbacks are such a contrast. One experienced and one young.
Yeah, and really the great part of college football, Brent, are these contrasts between senior quarterbacks, newly starting quarterbacks, different options, offenses, pass offenses. This game is Eric Crouch's, I think, though. They're going to run the ball. He's a veteran at it. They've got the advantage at quarterback. But Oklahoma has a new quarterback, Jason White. We saw him against Texas. Came off the bench. But this is a different game. This is a game as a starter. He's had to deal with the media. He's had to deal with all the pressure all week. We will see.
So what will determine it?
Brent, you talked about the two great defenses. I think it's going to be the offhand of each quarterback. How well Crouch throws and how well White runs the ball.
We've got some injury questions regarding Nebraska. Jack Arute down on the field will have the very latest when we come back.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium. I just talked to Coach Frank Solich to update a couple of key injury reports. Tight end Tracy Wistrom has been suffering from a knee problem. He'll get the nod to start. But more importantly, Solich has decided to go with his injured fullback, Judd Davies, to get the nod to start. Davies suffering, Brent, from a high ankle sprain.
All right, Jack, thank you very much. Oklahoma won the toss, and they have deferred. So Nebraska will take the ball to start the game. And Tim Duncan, the senior from Clinton, Oklahoma, with the ball on the tee, and Josh Davis deep to return. And we asked Gary Crouch what he wants to establish in the early going against Oklahoma's great defense.
The biggest thing is just recognizing their different defensive formations. If they're going to come up in the line and blitz, I know you're always looking for what they did last year. After watching the tape, they were successful in a lot of ways from what they did. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
So number 7 wears it in honor of John Elway, whom he worshipped as a youngster growing up in Omaha, under center with the power and a late catch. And Diedrich gets the game's first carry. As we take a look at the East Hand receivers for Nebraska, the injuries Jack told you about. Judd Davies with an ankle. John Gibson with an ankle. He's playing. And Tracy Wistrom with the knee. We'll see how that holds up. So the fullback is Judd Davies, and what a difference he could make. Sophomore from Omaha. Second down and 4 after the 6-yard run by Darren Diedrich on first down. Didn't have a chance, and guess who made that hit? Roy Williams, number 38, makes his first whack. So here they are, folks, the 18-wheelers. That's a key to whatever success Nebraska will or will not enjoy here today, believe me. And Tommy Harris, number 97, he looks to take Judd Davies or whoever plays fullback away from Nebraska. And I see Wistrom already going off on the far side. So Wistrom's out of the game. Now it is 3rd down and 7 after the loss. From the shotgun, Diedrich can't handle it. It's 3 and out. And there's that OU defense again. So the OU secondary, and Roy Williams already has made his first big play in this game. Folks, he's got to be the leader for the Jim Thorpe, given every year to the best defensive back in college football. What a whale of a player he is. And now Kyle Larson trots onto the field to punt. And Curtis Fagan, the return number 19's punt. And Oklahoma could have excellent starting field position, something that they have had all season long. They come through on Larson. Oh, they were close in the middle. Here's Fagan. Craver yanks him down. A great tackle at the 38-yard line. Now, the young man and Jack Arute went down to Norman and asked him what he would try to do in the first series.
The first series, we want to be tough. We want to drive down the field and score. Show them that we we can move the ball on them all the time.
Well, here comes the young man. People who talk about who's going to win this game said there was a big edge for Nebraska quarterback. We'll see. Jason White in Lincoln, Nebraska, with the crowd howling, with that spread formation. He'll throw it on first down, and it's intercepted by Craver. Craver's got it to the 25. The first turnover.
Oklahoma comes out doing what they do best. They're in the shotgun the whole game. Good protection for White. Steps up and throw it, but when you have great coverage, and that was great coverage by Craver, the ball was slightly behind the receiver that time, but Craver, that's as good as you can cover a guy. Jason White thought his receiver would beat Craver. He did not win that battle of one-on-one coverage, and Craver makes the game's first big play.
So Keo Craver, the outstanding DB, and a first down with Prewald and Castle in that backfield. And Blouch was hit right on the handoff by Jimmy Wilkerson, the defensive end who also is a stand-up rush man and makes a lot of tackles for a loss for this well-coached OU defense.
Brent, I think that's the most underrated part of this Oklahoma football team is their athleticism on their front four. Wilkerson, the budding superstar Tommy Harris are two great football players that kind of get lost in the shuffle with all the big names out there.
Yeah, Gary, they didn't have any time to even get anything going that time.
Penetration on the option.
Crouch back in the gun, and he'll keep it himself, and there's no crease. He was sealed up at the 30-yard line. They are not giving him any daylight. That was Brandon Moore. Now, Brandon Moore is the only member of the OU team who was here when they were embarrassed. 69-7, I believe the score was.
Brent, great matchup here. Fonetzi on the true freshman. Watch freshman Harris spin out of this block. That is a tremendous young football player on the best offensive lineman for Nebraska.
So here's your 3rd and long, and the Huskers have been unable to move the ball on this defense. Slant pass high, dropped. So it's 4th down, and will Solich try a long field goal here as Derek Strait, the defensive back, made the play for the Sooners.
He knocked it down. I think he snapped that right out of the receiver's hand that time. Two great plays, two tremendous defenses with playmakers all over the field. Derek Strait kind of matches Keo Craver's play and snaps this ball right out of the receiver's hand. Watch the slant coming across. The ball is caught and snapped away from the receiver. Beautiful play. Can't do it any better than that by Strait. Playmakers, playmakers, playmakers. I guess that's how you
field
win.
Position here. They're going to punt. Kyle Larson.
And Oklahoma
Solich electing to play field position against the young quarterback who's already thrown 1 interception. They try to down it inside the 10, and they've done it. So a battle of field position unfolding in Lincoln. Timeout. Oklahoma's football. How good is the OU defense? They've had 6 plays for Nebraska, minus 1 yard the early going. Ronaldo works. You would think now that OU would try to settle into a little bit of a running game, and confusion by the young quarterback on the handoff. And you can see that Ronaldo Works was also with Quentin Griffin. And here are his targets today. Smith, his tight end's been his go-to guy. We talked about Quentin Griffin. Outside, we got Mark Clayton out there. Fagan has already returned a punt. Josh Norman and Antoine Savage, the big guy. So he has the weapons, but so far he's been unable to use any of them. And now it is 2nd and long. And all we've got to say is there are jitters here for sophomore Jason White in the early going. Try to settle down now from the end zone, high and incomplete. Gary, your thoughts about the young quarterback as we take a look now. The offensive line, Frank Romero, the All-American, hasn't given up a sack again this year, but Jared Fields is a freshman over there at right tackle, and he's got to take on Chris Kelsey in one of the key matchups in this game. Here's your backers, and they're looking for Quentin Griffin when they go to that running game. But it'll be Kelsey who will attempt to tee it off here against Fields on 3rd and long. Great protection. High percentage completion. Few yards, close to the first down. Very nice move before John Clanton, the nose man, was able to get back defensively, Gary. And OU will punt. And the secondary for Nebraska, they'll be busy. They'll be under pressure.
Yeah, 4 of the 6 guys that will play back there all day, they'll go up to a dime. Good job. You mentioned it, Brent. Stunt by Nebraska on that 3rd down play, and they handled that stunt that Baylor gave Oklahoma such big problems with.
So Jeff Ferguson, one of the best punters in the country. And Gross waits to return it. Got a big bounce. Fielded at the 36. Look for a crease. And he is brought down at the 41. Another part of the Stoops formula. Special teams. Special teams. No score. It's Oklahoma, Nebraska. Timeout.
What would you do if someone passed you the keys to a Pontiac Grand Am for a week?
We're going to drive as fast as we can to San Francisco.
We're doing big things for the Pontiac Grand Am. Big things, baby.
3-car park, next 3. That's it. How do we get to 3-car?
Bob Stoops won a national championship in his 2nd year. Frank Solich. And, folks, this is one of these games that will define his tenure at Nebraska. He's got a great shot with all the home games this year, but he's got to win big games like this one on his home turf. Here's Diedrich straight ahead. Tommy Lehman, number 11, met him right there in the hole. And here are our Pontiac game solutions here.
Well, 2 evenly matched teams. What's going to happen, I think, is some big plays are going to determine it. It might be a penalty on a touchdown, a big turnover. It might be a punt inside the 2-yard line that Oklahoma did against Texas. Both teams want to win first down. That means 50%, 4 yards or more, and both teams have to affect the quarterback, hit the quarterback all game.
To correct myself, I knew I was going to do it someday. It's Teddy Lehman and not Tom. Diedrich up across the...
Dropped the ball.
Fumble!
Calling him down.
Calling down. And it was punched out by Roy Williams again, making another big play. Let's check in now with John Saunders.
Brent, here in the Burger King update, very important game for the 2 teams you're calling today because Virginia Tech, one of the unbeatens. This is Syracuse, and Jamal Riddle takes it 51 yards right down the gut for the touchdown on the punt return. Their first punt return for a touchdown in 4 years. Syracuse leads Virginia Tech. Brent.
All right, John, and here Eric Crouch from the gun threw high that time. He had Thomas open, and he misfired, and again Nebraska's forced to punt. Eric Crouch and the offense unable to move against the Oklahoma defense. That's one of your headlines of this game. We've got 2, folks. That would be number 1. The second one is the fact that young quarterback Jason White has been very shaky here in the early going. So whichever offense can solve its problem quicker is going to have a huge upper hand in this game.
I don't think either coach is unhappy punting the ball early in this game.
We may have a lot of these today. Larson's punt. And I thought it might have been touched, but it wasn't as Fagan picked it up.
I think it was, but that's why Fagan did it, just in case it hit his own player. That was a heads-up play by Fagan.
Well, ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Pontiac. What would you do with some Pontiac excitement? Budweiser with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. Circuit City, we know how you feel. That's why we're here, Circuit City. We're with you. Morgan Stanley, formerly Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. Move your money. Get well connected. Well, talk to me about the young quarterback, Gary. What can he do?
The 8 sacks last week has definitely had a factor on his psyche and the play calling for Oklahoma.
High and incomplete, and that was great coverage by McPherson.
McPherson on Trent Smith, the big tight end. That has been the biggest change since Jason White has come in the football game for Oklahoma as the quarterback. Trent Smith, the last 2 games, has caught 18 passes as the tight end has become more of a weapon for this Oklahoma football team. Nebraska is not peeling with Quentin Griffin. Everyone I've seen prior to this has tried to take Griffin out of the game. It looks to me like Oklahoma can get the ball to their tailback.
The Nebraska defensive backs are pressing the wide receivers. And the option look. And Quentin Griffin explodes to the 40-yard line on a nice run, the best run from scrimmage we've had by either team. 18 yards for Griffin.
Yes, this is what I think is available for Oklahoma. Quentin Griffin is not being taken out of the game. We have seen in past games Texas sometimes run two men with Griffin, forcing the quarterback to throw the ball down the field. I'm sure Mark Mangino, offensive coordinator, and Chuck Long will recognize that and take advantage of that man right there.
Play like that will help settle Jason down. Looking for the completion, throwing high to Griffin. Craver, the defender, over there on him. So just underway. The battle between the top two teams in the BCS standings. A sea of red here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And on OU's first offensive play, Keogh Craver of Nebraska picked it off. But the Huskers unable to move on OU's great defense. And we do mean great, folks. I have not seen many ever that are any better than this Oklahoma defense. Second down and 10 for the offense. Here's the blitz. Successful. Sacked at the 35-yard line. He was swarmed. Shanley, Clanton, both of them were there.
This was the three-man line that Nebraska does not use a lot of this, but it was an overloaded blitz. Guys coming from the outside, not enough people to pick up for Oklahoma on this. You see the stunt, two free men. Jason White did not read it. All he could do was move up in the pocket. Both teams are not controlling first down. It's having a big effect on the game.
This 3rd and 15, it'll be tough. Incomplete.
Great coverage.
Oklahoma forced to punt. That's Craver again. And Keogh Craver has been the MVP on defense for Nebraska so far.
You're going to see the crossing route coming right down here. The ball by Jason White was thrown slightly behind the receiver. I think he had him open right here. If he leads him into this area, he was a little bit behind on the throw. That's allowed Craver to get there and make the play. If he leads that receiver across the field, he has an easy completion.
So the battle of the punters continues. Ferguson. And throws for the dangerous catch. Made the most of it. Wow.
That has to be a
penalty
halo.
flag
That
down.
has to be a halo. That has to be. He was closer than 6 feet on that play, even though he tried to avoid it. Both teams seem to be able to handle what the other team does best, the option and the pass game. We will see how Solich and Mangino adjust to try to give them a different look.
Halo violation on the kicking team will be declined. They'll take forward progress. First down.
Well, a reminder, Monday night, AFC Central showdown. We've got, we've got Javon Curse and Tennessee taking on the amazing Pittsburgh Steelers. Who would have thought the Steelers would be a possible Super Bowl contender this year? Doing a good job. First down and 10. It's Eric Crouch's turn again. Probing the middle with Paul Castle. One of their backup fullbacks. Jimmy Wilkerson making the stop.
Big point right there. Nebraska's two first fullbacks, Davis and Krewald, not in the game, and they handed off to Paul Castle, a walk-on fullback. Big drop-off between Davis and Castle.
Thunder Collins checks into the backfield. Rocky Kalmus, number 20, points that out to his fellow linebackers. Kalmus goes into the hole to help out. And Eric Crouch is very mindful of number 20, Rocky Kalmus.
He's going to be obviously mirroring me quite a bit, maybe trying to find out where I'm going. And it's going to be tough because we're going to have a lot of different formations for him to look at. And, that's the tough part about being a linebacker is reading the fullback and the quarterback and the I-back. That's something they have to do all the time, and it is crazy to do a great job.
Did the job that time, but now it's 3rd and 1. Nebraska looking for its first down of this game, and Thunder Collins gives it to him. Dove across, and there's the Huskers' initial first down against this defense. Boy, Jerry, it's tough getting yards on
First
these guys.
downs are tough to come by, aren't they? I mean, this is the way football was meant to be played. Great athletes on defense. Every yard so valuable. The punting game, a big factor. Everything involved. A lot of pressure on every snap.
So Rocky Kalmus now looking in on Crouch on this 1st and 10. Crouch on the keeper, and he's hit at the 44, and Kalmus talked about defending him.
Stopping Crouch. I mean, want to get it out of his hand and get it in someone else's hand. So really stop him and make him one-dimensional and make him have to use his arm to beat us.
You know, this defense has been so good. Crouch hasn't even had time to get it out of his hands a couple of times. That's how quickly they've hit him. 2nd down and 13. Speed all across the defense from the shotgun. There's complete to Thomas, straight the defensive back, well short of the 1st down as they cross midfield. Now bring up 3rd down. And one thing that Eric Crouch might have to do is throw the ball here to loosen things up. Let's check in with John Solich.
Brent, it's early, but the Hokies in a little bit of trouble against Syracuse, already down 7-0. Kevin Jones loses the handle. It's recovered by Quentin Harris, and it sets up a touchdown. James Mungrove takes it in from a yard out, and Syracuse right now with a 14-0 lead, and Virginia Tech's offense has been invisible thus far.
All right, John, here it's 3rd and 6. We're scoreless. There's the swing pass to Thunder Collins, trapped. Nebraska forced to punt. They read that play perfectly. Corey Klein, the sophomore from Tulsa, the big defensive tackle.
How about Roy Williams, though? He reads things so quickly, also turned it back in, and 10 of the 11 players for Oklahoma were outside the hash pursuing that quick throw by Nebraska.
So our punting battle continues.
I tell you, you don't win on 1st down, you're punting in this game. Defenses are too good.
Reagan will let it bounce. And it'll roll down just inside the 15-yard line. 4:24 in the opening quarter. No score. Aerial views are courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Goodyear providing aerial coverage of the world's sporting events for more than 75 years. A look down on our sea of red here on this gorgeous Saturday afternoon for football. And Jason White back in the shotgun for Oklahoma, scoreless, trying to go downfield, had an open man, and he overthrew Josh Norman. Had him open, Gary.
Had him open, but he got hit as he let it go. Big thing for Nebraska. They've got to keep hitting the Oklahoma quarterback, whether he's sacking him, that's great, but after he lets the go, you will have a cumulative effect on a quarterback. Believe me, I know. That's part of the game plan.
2nd and 10, and with this spread and a host of receivers.
And 2 freshman offensive linemen on that Oklahoma offensive line, too.
The DBs press. They leave a safety back. Here's Jason checking off. 2nd down with the clock running down on him. Got it off. Fired complete using that safety valve. And you know, we talked to Keough Craver about these Oklahoma receivers.
A big key of this game is going to be the defensive backs play, and we know that we have our hands full with all of the receivers that they have, but we also know that we're an aggressive defense, and we got some great cornerbacks and great safeties, and we got the personnel to match up with their receivers.
And so Craver with already 1 interception today. Smith with his first catch now for 7 yards.
Emerging story for Oklahoma, too. Jamel Brown, number 55, is in at right tackle. Another change at tackle for Oklahoma.
Having a lot of trouble. They can't hold up out there high. And again, they simply outnumbered the right tackle that time. It wasn't his fault. They put 3 on 1, and pressure was all over with Mark Bedrell in on top of it.
2 guys coming. Receiver beats him inside, but look at the throw. It's behind. You get 2 people on that outside tackle, and then you take the guard with the slanting defensive end, and that forced White to throw that ball behind the receiver. Jason White has not been accurate in the game so far.
This is the kind of game that to be perfectly honest. I'm sure they're concerned about their offense's lack of production. But Frank Solich wanted a field position game and keep pressure on the Oklahoma offense. He does not mind how this is unfolding here.
Let's take a look at what these two teams like to do, their priorities, what they want to run. Oklahoma basically just two styles of offense. They do it very well. Finesse plays from the shotgun and, of course, passing the ball. Nebraska has everything. Power game, the option game, play action off of it. Their finesse screens from that, and then the last thing they like to do is pocket pass. Both teams take advantage of what they do very well. No one has advantage here.
Now, Nebraska on its own 42, and Oklahoma back on the 21. Huge advantage for the Huskers. They've been unable to cash in on it. They'll try to throw. Open man, Thunder Collins, out of bounds, inside the 40-yard line as he pulled it in. Boy, he was really a tightrope walker down that sideline, wasn't he, folks? I wasn't sure he was in bounds over there.
Took Tracy Wistrom and put him down the field right here, and then Thunder Collins goes out to the outside. Wistrom takes the safety, and there's Collins, who's a better receiver than Diedrich. Diedrich has only caught one pass.
Oh, it's close.
Yes, it was. One pass this year.
And here's Diedrich, and Elvis up over the top, number 20, who averages about 10 tackles a game, coming in to make the stop. Roy Williams was also there. Doubleheader Saturday here on ABC. Great games coming up next. Michigan, Iowa. How about Maryland and Florida State? How about the Terps being unbeaten under the fridge? Well, fridge going in there. The UCLA. You would think that UCLA might have a chance to jump to number 2 this week in the BCS. We'll see how it all unfolds here. Second down. And the fullback, nothing in the middle. Talmadge and friends were all over that middle. Steve Prewall got a chance at it. Let's talk about young Harris. We haven't talked about Tommy Harris, number 97, that freshman defensive tackle. Gary, you said he's been amazing.
He really has, and he's reading the plays very quickly. He's forcing a double team nearly every play, getting penetration on the option plays, and that's why it's so tough to run the ball between the tackles. That guy right there.
Interesting that on 3rd and 8, they take him out and go to a 3-man line. They're expecting Nebraska to throw. They blitz a safety, and it's blocked as Roy Williams comes in. Oh, what a play by Williams.
And
another big play, Williams.
He bolted the blocker again that time. You would think the scouting report from Nebraska, do not go low for Roy Williams. He comes in right there. Watch the back go down low for his feet, and Williams just leaps it. Come on, running back, stay up tall. You never want to go low. There's Williams right there. You never want to go low on a blitzing linebacker. That is so easy for those guys just to bolt.
But again, Nebraska figures to keep Oklahoma and the young quarterback sealed up. Larson, fair catch by Fagan at the 15-yard line. Well, tomorrow the USA's Michelle Kwan, Sarah Hughes, and Sasha Cohen at the field at Smart Ones, Skate America, 1 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, right here on ABC.
Well, Brent, Frank Solich was the running back coach here for Nebraska for 14 years. I'm sure he got a hold of Darren Diedrich that time and say, stay up on the blitzes, son. We just can't have that. That's how Texas learned a valuable lesson on that play.
Remember that scene down in Dallas?
Yes.
Williams flying in over the blocker.
Big story with Jamal Brown, number 55, a backup guard having to play offensive tackle.
Before the snap. You know, we were talking about that play, and what's interesting, and I know you folks down in Oklahoma have read it and chuckled about it. They told Roy Williams, they said, look, the one thing we don't want you to do is leave your feet. So what does he do? Take off his cape and come flying at Chris Simmons. And then Teddy Lehman, number 11, just walks on in for the touchdown. One of the memorable plays and pieces of tape of the season.
Yeah, Tom Lehman could have scored on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. 2:14 here. Still scoreless, Gary. A lot of strategy unfolding on both sides.
The interception turned the field position game around for Nebraska. Let's see if Oklahoma survives this first quarter.
Deeper hole now for White. They bring it receiver around, and they finally get the ball into one of their right hands, Antoine Savage, who probably is as dangerous as any of their wide receivers, and they just bring him around the corner for a 21-yard gain that time.
Savage, Norman, Woolfolk going both ways. Mark Clayton, the emergence of the freshman. Trent Smith, Quentin Griffin. Looks like they only do two things, finesse football or pocket passing. But, boy, there's so many different weapons out there for the quarterback to use.
Well, OU's two big plays have been runs.
Yep.
Quentin Griffin and now Savage on the end around. First and 10. They'll try Griffin again. And he slips through and dives for a couple more yards. Kelsey makes the stop. And so maybe OU is just going to stay on the ground here for a while. They've had their most success in this game so far. Go figure. OU has outrushed Nebraska 40-15, and Nebraska's outpassed OU 25-16.
Well, I thought it would be the offhand of both quarterbacks, but I didn't think it would develop this quickly in the game. That's usually what great defenses do. Force you to do something you don't want to do, and these are two great defenses.
Second down for Oklahoma. Here comes the blitz. Got it off in time, short of the first down because of Craver, who made a fine play on Savage.
Well, Nebraska's trademark on defense is not zone defense. They run about four corners. There you see the matchup right there, one-on-one. Craver, little crossing, little picking action from Trent Smith. He actually had Trent Smith, the tight end, on an easier throw right there, and that's been the emerging receiver here on 3rd and short.
Look for him to run. And White tries to buck ahead. Nebraska tries to hold the middle that time, and
I don't know.
The spot will determine this, folks. It's going to be close.
I don't think so. Yeah. That dreaded fist sign when you're a quarterback.
When you see that fist, man. Oh, you hate to see that. So Ferguson trots onto the field. However, let's point out that a couple of plays helped them in this field position battle. They're going to seal Nebraska back up now. Ferguson will try to get him back down inside the 20.
And he has not had a good punt in this game yet. Let's see if he can get one off. He's such a fine punter.
Bounces. Nobody was on him. And he gets it off to Gross, who didn't signal for a fair catch and gets ripped down inside the 13.
What a
folks. Jeff Ferguson is a wonder back there as a punter. Watch this.
He did it in the Air Force game. He did it in the national championship game when he took a safety. Right there, he saves maybe 75 yards in field position. What a play by Ferguson. I'll tell you, you don't have to have a good average when you make plays like that.
I'm going to tell you, folks, Ryan Daniel, a backup tight end for Oklahoma, may have saved the day. When we take another look at that, you'll see the block. And he gave Ferguson enough time to capture the football and get it off. The next time you see it, watch 82 throw a block on that play. Crouch battles his way to the 20. And now take a look, folks, at 82. He's got to hold the fort on that side. There's the snap. Look at him go to work. No penetration, and Ferguson's able to get it off. Well done by Daniel. And we come to the end of the quarter. We're scoreless, and ABC Sports presentation returns after this message and a word from our ABC station. Is certainly one of the favorites, but it's not going to be a runaway, and you would think that he needs a good performance today, that Nebraska is going to have to win this game for Crouch to become the favorite at that high. He got a whistle before the snap. Deshaun Foster at UCLA, Ken Dorsey at Miami, and perhaps Rex Grossman at Florida would be your four leading candidates, according to all the fellows who've got votes in all the articles I've read this week. But when you lose a game like Grossman did, it really hurts your Heisman Trophy chances. You know, I've got to wonder out loud here, when's the last time in Lincoln Nebraska's running game was held to 20 yards in a quarter? Folks, I've never been here, when they've been held to 20 yards rushing. I got to tell you that right now. That's how good this Oklahoma defense is. Man, this is a great defense. Second down and 10. Crouch. Under fire, gets it off to Thomas for about 6 yards. Now it's time for the Aflac trivia question. I told you my favorite OU Nebraska game 30 years ago, the game of the century. Folks, who were the head coaches that day, the offensive coordinators that day, and the ABC announcers? Game of the century 30 years ago. Come on now. You Sooner fans and you Husker fans.
Right? Get your laptops
some of these guys are all over it right now. We'll have the answer for you later. And I know Jack Arut's got an interesting piece of footage from that game. Man, that was a great football game. They played that one around Thanksgiving time. I still remember the cover of Sports Illustrated. Probably got it around someplace. Crouch goes back, got time, going deep to Thomas. Thomas in a battle, and it falls incomplete because Brandon Everidge, number 7, was right there.
Brandon Everidge, such a factor in the run game. The question was, could he stay disciplined in the play-action pass game? This time Thomas, who lined up in the slot on the play-action game, goes down. But what a nice job Everidge does of looking back, not panicking, not just grabbing the receiver, finding the ball and making the deflection. Another athletic play by a defensive secondary.
Let's see how OU handles this punt. Takes a Nebraska bounce and taking on a high. Ripped down. Gross. He returned the favor. Remember when he got ripped down? Well, that time he was the gunner on the cover. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Nissan. Nissan introduces the totally new V6 Altima, the cure for the common car. Original Coors, nothing beats an original. Aflac, without it, no insurance is complete. And Chili's baby back ribs, flame grilled, double basted with barbecue sauce.
I look for Oklahoma to start taking some easy throws. Over the 3 years of the Stoops era in Oklahoma, the quarterbacks have been completing 63% of their passes. White is 3 for 10 today.
Yeah, 30% won't do it, will it, Gary?
No.
First down for White. Little inside handoff, and Griffin breaks free. 35. A busted pass, the linebacking core, and Gross along with Booker, but it's a 16-yard gain. That's 3 carries for 40 yards. Hey, Jack Arut, how's it sound down on the field, my friend?
Well, Brent, let me tell you, the crowd noise is almost deafening down here, and in fact, it has created somewhat of a problem for this young offensive line for OU. Mark Mangino went over some of the hand signals, and now they're going to go from center and guard out to the tackles and then to the wideouts with hand signals.
And you can see that they're trying to communicate down there right now, just what Jack was telling you about.
That's one of the reasons Howard Duncan was moved to guard right there.
They're going to stay on the ground, but nothing much doing as the black shirts hold. Schlechter making the stop.
Howard Duncan, the senior, started the year at offensive tackle. Because a new center, Vince Gimson, is a true freshman at center, the change was made to Duncan at guard to help a little bit with that communication, Brad.
Second down and 8. The nose man is taken out again. That means it's a 3-man defensive line. This is what Texas had success with against OU on several occasions. And Pryor through the snap. Did the clock expire on the young quarterback?
No, they got a little bit of movement by the offensive guard that time,
Yeah.
Mike Skinner.
Exactly what they got.
Carson snap. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
It is tough coming into Lincoln.
Yes, it is.
With a young quarterback. And here we see Howard Duncan, that left guard Gary was telling you about. He'll help out in the communication.
Making
You see
all the
he's
calls.
identifying people. Carter doesn't have that much experience yet. The center in the middle. Time. Got Smith again. First down. Beautiful. He read his tight end coming across. Led him perfectly that time. Nice throw by Jason White for 15 yards.
Love that matchup. Big athletic tight end on a smallish corner. Even though those corners are used to covering those wide receivers out there with a lot of space, the tight end can pressure up, can handle the linebacker, whatever. Movement, the increase passing to the tight end, I think has been a big difference in this Sooner offense.
All right, Oklahoma playing with half a field right now. Fresh set of downs, and they're at midfield. Quarterback draw. A first down. He hit the marker beautifully with Burrow in pursuit.
Craig Bohl, defensive coordinator, did not want to go to an all-out blitzing game, a la Texas, a la Kansas State. I think he will soon think that we need to come after this guy. Setting back and allowing Oklahoma to run their finesse plays, the draw, the quarterback draw, those little shovel passes, that plays right into the Oklahoma game plan.
Mark Mangino is calling a real good game. With Chuck Long up in the booth, there's the big fella over there, and he's got the Sooners on the move. Here's Griffin. He snaps up that time. Mangino knows that he doesn't want the youngster whipping it in the air 35, 36 times. He doesn't have Josh Heupel back there. He wants to go ahead and make sure that they respect the run. The substitution package is in now. Chris Toney gives him an extra fullback in that backfield. Second down and 10. They want to make sure that Jason has enough time. They surround him with a couple of running backs.
Nebraska has their three-man look in. They've been blitzing off this.
And there's two blockers back there. They're going to send him out. They release him. Here's White looking for an open man. He may take off. He'll drop it to the open man. Griffin out of bounds. Beautiful by Jason White. He made them think he was going to take off, and then he dropped it to the open running back. And Quentin Griffin goes 16 yards, and White is down on the sideline after making the play, and that'll probably mean that Nate Hibble will come in for a play.
Absolutely.
Here he comes. 8 is up. There he is, ready to go.
Nate Hibble took that pounding in the Kansas State game and then came back with the Texas game. But as Jason White came out of the pocket, Nebraska had dropped into a zone, and he kind of suckered those linebackers up and let go right at the last second, dropping this pass off. But after he let it go, about a step, I don't know if he pulled a muscle or what. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Looked like he pulled a muscle.
Yes, absolutely. I thought maybe he got hit
I don't know
over
if
there.
he twisted his ankle or knee. Yes, it looked like he twisted his knee after he let go of the ball that time, and his left knee gave way.
Oh, what a shame. Jack will check in on that because it was just a marvelous moment for the youngster because he had the defense thinking he was going to take off. They have to respect his running ability. And he threw it to Quentin Griffin, who was wide open on this play.
Yeah, watch how much time Jason White, only a three-man rush. Jason White comes up and buys time by just forcing the run, and then Quentin Griffin just kind of drops out behind the linebackers. And what I thought maybe he got hit after he let the ball go, and you could see Griffin had his right foot in. That was a legal catch.
So Nate Hibble, who lost his job a couple of games ago, remember he transferred to Oklahoma from Georgia, outstanding young golfer, and now he'll step back in, and he will take over. And Hibble himself has taken a severe pounding. Remember this against K-State? I mean, it was relentless as the Wildcats sold out. Then Texas came after him. They got up in his shoulder area, and now it's Nate Hibble's game, at least for the time being. He's taking some practice snaps as White is already being helped back to the locker room. And so we'll take a break here in Lincoln. So here's Hibble's first play. Fakes the end around, pulls back, and a toss to the end zone, tight end. Incomplete, and there'll be a penalty. They'll take interference. That was going to be a touchdown that time. McPherson felt he had no other choice but to take the interference. Remember, it won't be first and goal, but it will certainly be an automatic first down. It was a nice play by Hibble as they faked the end around. And there's a great opening call by Mangino because Nebraska not looking for that.
Absolutely not. Trent Smith down there. McPherson did the smart thing that time, just saving the play, but coming out of the box.
Pass interference. Defense. 15-yard penalty. Previous spot. Automatic first down.
Hibble just getting rid of that ball. He had Trent Smith wide open. Smith had to stop for the ball, but McPherson says, you're going to get a touchdown, you can't get a cheap one. You got to run it in from the 7-yard line.
And you think that Oklahoma won't try, eh? Here they come from the 7 with Quentin Griffin. Remember, this fella's got a nose for the end zone. He's right off to the right. Nebraska better be aware of him. Show a little motion. And here comes 22. Stopped. McPherson, guilty of interference, makes the tackle. A defensive battle in Lincoln, Nebraska, between the top two teams in the BCS poll. Oklahoma 1, Nebraska 2. And this could be the first of 2 meetings this year. And both these teams could wind up at Dallas playing for the Big 12 championship on December 1st. Starting quarterback Jason White, injury to his left knee, ice being applied. And by the looks of it, he won't be back for a while. So Nate Hibble, who lost his job to White, has taken over. Second down and goal, going to throw for it. Tight end, wraps it up, touchdown OU. So off the bench, Nate Hibble drives the Sooners to their first touchdown of the game. And Trent Smith, the junior from Clinton, Oklahoma, the big tight end, has been a factor in this game. It's his 3rd catch.
Coming the guy, isn't he? Nebraska had it defended right there, but Hibble does a nice job of dropping this ball over the linebacker. Nice touch on the play. Throw it to your big guy. And Trent Smith has really emerged. We did that Kansas State game, right, Brent? I was begging them to throw to Trent Smith. Maybe they saw the tape of it afterwards.
Tim Duncan adds the extra point. Oklahoma strikes first. And given how their defense is playing, that could be enough. But here he is. Also, he's a pilot. Look at him pilot that touchdown. Nice landing, too, Trent. Timeout. Let your heart go out to Jason White. Here he is. He just earns the starting job. Now he's suffered a knee injury. Helmet off on the sideline. Ice being applied to it. Hibble comes back in, and guess what? Oklahoma scores a few plays later. All right, here's a kickoff to Josh Davis. Out to the 20-yard line. Folks, how good is this Oklahoma defense? I want you to take a look at this Nissan drive summary. Nebraska can't do anything. They punted 6 times here in this game. 52 total yards.
And on their longest drive, 20 yards, 18 of it came in one pass on a play, on a first down play. Man, it has been total stop. I think Nebraska is hurting without their 2 top fullbacks. I think it has changed their game, and Tracy Wistrom is a shadow of himself right here. He is basically a decoy.
Hasn't caught a ball yet today. Here's the toss to Diedrich. He won't get anything against that defense. They just gang up on him. Dvorak is right there. Jackaroo, what about the injuries?
Well, Brent, as a policy, Oklahoma does not release information during the game about injuries, but it's fairly evident that you won't see Jason White back at quarterback. They have examined his left knee, have iced it down considerably. And one thing to remember, Brent, in the Oklahoma sidelines, what they do during practice, the starting quarterback gets 70% of the snaps. I'll update you as well on Wistrom. He's just a little lame like he was before.
All right, Jack, thank you. Here's Crouch back. This time he gets the ball into Thomas's hands. Thomas is the leading receiver. That's a first down. He becomes the go-to guy, the basketball player, with 3 catches for 27 yards. So Thomas now is Crouch's #1 target. And if they're going to climb back in, he'll have to be the guy, it looks like.
Yeah, you know, of the 70 passes that Nebraska has completed coming into this game, 52 of them have gone to Thomas, Wistrom, or Gibson. And he really only threw the ball to 3 different people. And one of those guys is Nick.
They bring Thunder around, and Crouch pulls out to pass it again, wide open. Cross midfield, puts it in the hands of Troy Hasselbrook, the wingback from right here in Lincoln at 19 yards.
Hasselbrook's going to come right across there. He's almost lined up in a tight end position. Play action pass. You see Crouch on the right. Go down the option, come back. Hard to get these play action passes going from the option when you're not running the option well. Oklahoma isn't buying anything but the option game. They want to put hits on Crouch. Same formation again.
So it's first down. And here's Crouch. There is the pitch to Thunder. And he thunders to the turf because of Derek Strait. All right, let's go back now on the Aflac trivia question. We ask you the game of the century. Who are the head coaches, offensive coordinators, and ABC announcers? All right, there you are. Chuck Fairbanks and Bob Devaney were the head. How about the offensive coordinators? Barry Switzer and Tom Osborne. And the announcers, of course, Chris Schenkel and Bud Wilkinson. Had that call for ABC. There you are, the legendary Oklahoma coach there on the left, Bud Wilkinson, and, of course, Chris Schenkel. Play-by-play guys probably watching today, Chris. Everybody wants to say hello. He's back, fires for 9 yards over to the right sideline. Derek Strait again over there.
Eric Crouch is very underrated as a thrower. I think if he would have came into college football running an offense with that spread attack that maybe like Nebraska or Clemson, Northwestern or Clemson uses where he had to throw the ball, I think you'd see Eric Crouch throw for a lot of yards.
This by far the most impressive Nebraska drive of the day. Diedrich for the first down. So this time, the Nebraska coaches use the pass to loosen things up. Then they come back for the run. The crowd back into it now, enthusiastic. They trail it by 7. But for the first time today, the Cornhuskers are sustaining a drive. Can they finish, Howard?
And they've done it with the pass. They've loosened up this Oklahoma defense. I don't know if Frank Solich in Nebraska believes they can run their base offense against this great Oklahoma rush defense.
To the snap. Flag comes flying.
I wonder if they're going to get an illegal substitution. They had 12 men in the huddle.
Illegal substitution. Offense. Broke the huddle with more than 11 players. 5-yard penalty.
If you come inside the numbers and don't leave in an orderly fashion and put 12 in the huddle, you're going to get called.
There's the penalty situation in the game. Stoops will take it. Pushing back another 5. Make it 1st and 15, and they'll challenge this Nebraska passing game again. Thomas is out to the right. Remember now, he's been the go-to guy. Play fake. Crouch keeps it. But guess who's there? Derek Strait. We check in with John Saunders.
Brent, very big game for Clemson facing Wake Forest, a Wake Forest team that has looked pretty good at times this year. Terrence Williams takes it in from 4 yards out, and Wake Forest jumps on top early. It's a Clemson defense that you never know which one is going to show up. Brent.
All right, John, thank you. You know, that last completion was for Ringelberg of Nebraska. Kyle Ringelberg, number 86, has been played. Crouch back to Wistrom. First down, his first completion of the game, and he's out of bounds inside the 20-yard line.
What a gamer, huh? Big game, didn't practice all week, said he could go, limped around, he's been a decoy the whole game, but just enough. You got a tight football game with a chance to win the Big 12 championship and the national championship, you go.
This is a clutch drive. 17-yard gain for Wistrom. The ball is inside the 20. Diedrich, touch for an alley and heads for the end zone. Stop at the 2-yard line by Everidge. That sets up the power game for the Huskers after that 16-yard run.
Well, it's been the passing game that has opened up the running game for Nebraska. You'll see it right here in a gash inside. What a run by Diedrich. From Canada to Nebraska through the Oklahoma defense. What a read on that one. Not a great receiver as Diedrich, but an outstanding running back.
Eric Crouch will be looking for touchdown number 56. He already has the NCAA record. First he sent Diedrich into the end zone. So he comes right back with Darren Diedrich. And the Huskers an extra point away after an impressive drive following the OU touchdown.
At stack I, 2 lead backs, 2 fullbacks, and walks into the end zone right there. He does the dive just to be safe.
Deadlocked at 7 as Josh Brown adds the extra point. They couldn't do it running. They do it passing. They go 80 yards in 10 plays. We're deadlocked. Timeout. Almost 3/4 of the 80 yards through the air for Eric Crouch. So the Nebraska coaches adjust. They see they've got daylight. By using a double tight end formation, they can break receivers open, and Crouch does the rest.
A lot of it off play action, but he started off the drive just dropping back and throwing.
Now OU looking for a savage return. He's got speed, and there's a penalty flag down out of bounds at the 29-yard line. But again, the yellow came flying. The Pacific Life game summary. The young quarterback for OU, Jason White, injured and out, and Nate Hibble. The Trent Smith for the Oklahoma touchdown. Then Diedrich barrels in, and we're deadlocked at 7. So the holding call against OU on the return.
Everybody has talked about the two main advantages Nebraska has in this football game. An experienced quarterback and the home field advantage. Another one is that Oklahoma has been penalized more than Nebraska, 76 yards a game. You have to watch that. Oklahoma susceptible to penalties.
Hibble. Back in the gun inside the 10. Going to throw off the fake high and incomplete. Josh Norman, the intended target. Coming up on the Capital One halftime show, John and Terry, scores and highlights from around the country. Terry will take a look at a surprising underdog, the undefeated Maryland Terrapins. Well, Gary Danielson, I guess your guys at Fresno State turned out to be a mirage after all. I know, yes, he did. They lose for the second time in a row, in case you haven't heard.
No safety for Nebraska. No safety at all. Everybody within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Well, let's see if Hibble can get to the middle on him. He can't. Throws over Norman, incomplete, going sideline. And Bull told us that he wasn't going to clear out the middle because Kansas State did it. But that time we saw a corner breaking that way as Craver was slipping back out of it.
I really think Oklahoma, especially the point that Jack made, Nate Hibble did not get a lot of practice time. I don't even know if he's 100%. We saw him throw very poorly after he hurt that shoulder. We saw the lob to Trent Smith. That was an easy one. Let's see if Hibble has it all together yet.
Here's the third down. Sooners don't want to give up field position. There's Trent Smith again. What a go-to guy he's been turned out to be.
Short of the first down, though.
And just short. And there goes White back to the Oklahoma locker room with an injury to the left knee. And we hope that's not serious. But it didn't look good, did it, folks, the way it was on the sideline?
Think about that, though, Brent. All the work you put in the offseason, the battle he's had with Hibble, he wins the job. A huge football game, and you're limping off because you twist your knee.
Now Ferguson. Drives it. Gross is back. Cuts back. He's got daylight. Midfield. Here he comes. Brought down at the 28-yard line from behind. Brandon Moore saves the day for OU, but it's a 33-yard return, and Nebraska's in business, folks.
Gross the corner. You can see the effect here right there. It was just a little late of the gunner coming down the field and slowing down not to get that halo infraction. A lot of people now, Brent, are thinking, let's take the 5 yards and get inside the halo, because when you slow down, you give an athlete like that an opportunity to run it back.
Nebraska lines up in the power I, too tight. Here's Diedrich on the catch. He beat Thomas. Well, he was brought down by Lehman. He slipped past Kalmus that time, and Lehman makes the stop.
first down, so important in this game. This time, 2 tight ends. You're just going to see everybody come off right here. Power football, pulling the backside tackle, just sticking up in there, seeing if the speed of Oklahoma can be run at instead of trying to run around on that defense.
And they were trying to run away from Rocky that time, weren't they? Second down. They'll stick with Dietrich. Hole inside. He explodes for a first down, just short of the 15-yard line. Milt Tenopor, one of the great line coaches in the history of college football, folks, is upstairs in the booth. I'll tell you right now that he has adjusted completely the way they're blocking the front, and they're opening huge holes right now.
Watch Steve Krewald right there, number 45, in practice Thursday. Both fullbacks. Judd Davies didn't even practice, and Krewald, number 45, was limping all day. Both fullbacks have sucked it up. Krewald is in the game, and what a block he got on the
Bonity helping lead the way. Dietrich is hit this time. As Calvis comes across, tackles him for a loss. A reminder, next Saturday now we'll have regional action coming your way at 3:30 Eastern time. Florida State, Clemson, Oregon State, USC. Gary, you and I will be in the Midwest. We'll have one of these 2 Big Ten games, either Michigan State, or Illinois at Purdue.
Rocky Kelmus coming in the back door on that play. Frank Solich, he said those linebackers from Oklahoma do such a good job of coming in behind the play with their speed and making it. You saw Kelmus do it on that play right there.
And they had a couple more for Kelmus here today, too. Tackles for a loss. Second down and 12.
Got one on the one out here.
Timeout.
Yep.
Crouch.
I think Crouch saw what he had and changed the play.
We got 3:37. We'll go over and talk about it.
Frank Solich said they have not had a delay a game this year. So you see how well Crouch is handling the clock.
Let's go down to Jackaroo, Jack.
Well, Brett, you talk about the game of the century. Let's take you back to 1971. One man that made it memorable, Johnny Rogers. Another man with his song also making it very memorable. Let's listen to Chris Schenkel.
Rogers gets away. Look at that. Johnny Rogers. Look at the move by that sensational player, a native of Omaha, and he is going, gone.
Going, gone. May use that for the days over. Anybody does it against these 2 great defenses. 3:37 to go, and through the years with these 2 schools, this is the 80th time that they have played. Of course, when they became the Big 12, the rivalry was interrupted. Remember, they don't play each other because really the arch rival for Oklahoma is Texas. They make sure that they play every year in the South Division. And it's nice to see Oklahoma and Nebraska back together. Last year, of course, they were 1-2 in the BCS, only Nebraska was 1. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and OU hit them with 24 second-quarter points. We don't have that kind of a wide-open affair here today in Lincoln. It's tied at 7 now, and we've got second down coming up for Nebraska. They'll put Thunder Collins in motion. They give it to him, and Thunder's down at the 15-yard line with Woolfolk, that cornerback who also plays wide receiver, number 17, making the stop.
Woolfolk did such a great job against Texas, but you watch Wistrom right there on the outside against Brandon Moore, the outside linebacker, and I thought Collins had some room, and Woolfolk, such a valuable player, being able to do 2 things. We saw him lock up on Roy Williams, the outstanding receiver for Texas. The guy's got big-time talent, and it looks like he can tackle also.
So now another timeout is being used here by Nebraska. Well, we've got a moment, folks. Let me tell you about something that's coming up that I think a lot of you are going to be interested in, because today's game ball is going to be donated to eBay's Auction for America. Now, players and coaches from both these schools are going to sign it, and 100% of the final purchase price will benefit the victims, families, and communities impacted by the terrorist attacks. You can log on to www.ebay.com/ABC Sports to place a bid for the ball. Now, folks, let me just point this out to you. Let me hype this ball a little bit if I can. Let's raise some money for those victims. Let's say that Eric Crouch wins the Heisman, all right? That would be a pretty good one to have. Roy Williams wins the Thorpe. That'd be pretty good. How about Rocky Calmus winning the Butkus? You got 3 big award winners possibly on that. Let's say one of these 2 schools, Nebraska and Oklahoma, goes down and wins the national championship. Heck,
it's going
I
on
may
every
start
second.
bidding for that ball. Where's eBay? You got the
thing.
other computer guy. Dial it up
Look
there.
at the other thing. You're not going to have a lawsuit when you get it either, like the Barry Bonds.
That's right. It won't be stolen No, you know, in the old days, a lot of these tapes used to go over to the servicemen over in the Middle East, and I hope this one winds up. And guys, there's a lot of folks in here, millions of them across this country pulling for you guys and gals over there. Never, ever forget it. We're behind you 100%. Third down.
Nebraska's going to go empty backfield. Look and see if we get a quarterback draw.
Here's Price. Thomas juggles and held on at the 10, but he's short of the first down, and Nebraska's got the field goal unit ready.
Tried to do the wide receiver screen to Thomas that time. Mike Stoops, defensive coordinator, backed his defense off. You see the end right here drop, and as the receiver comes in, he almost is in the way of that play. Wilkerson's going to come in and back off right there, reads the play, and Thomas juggles and catches.
This for the lead, 27 yards for Josh Brown. Makes it good. Nebraska's first lead. They trailed it by 7, and they tied it, and they kicked the field goal to take the lead here.
Thought that was a big stop by the Oklahoma defense following the punt return. Brandon Moore, remember, makes the tackle by the shoulder pads to save the touchdown, and then the defense stinks and makes just the field goal.
Let's go back down to Jack.
Well, Brent, you know the regular schedule. You don't know Jack. The way you get involved is to log on and leave me a question at abcsports.com. For this week, Tracy from Texas wanted to know a little bit more about corn production here in the state of Nebraska. Well, Tracy, number one, corn production ranks third in the nation behind Iowa and Illinois. Over 8.5 million acres are dedicated in the state of Nebraska to corn production. Over 1.14 billion bushels of corn. Now, how did they get the name the Cornhuskers? Well, real simple. A sports writer in 1900 said, I don't like bug eaters anymore. He started to call them the Cornhuskers.
And you know, Jack, today the pheasant season is opening in Nebraska. They haven't harvested all that corn, and it's causing some of my hunter friends some problems. Most of them are probably in the small towns right now, over there in those cafes and saloons scattered across this great state watching this game. Tracy Wistrop, one catch, and it wound up being a big one because it set up the Nebraska touchdown. Darren Dietrich, the Canadian I-back, slams in for the Cornhuskers' only touchdown. But because of a field goal, they lead Oklahoma 10-7 in a battle between numbers 1 and 2 in the BCS poll, and the Sooners are coming out.
Oklahoma has only thrown for 63 yards. They have to find their passing game to win.
Nate Hibble replaced the injured Jason White under center. Griffin goes nowhere. He's jumped by Burrow, the middle linebacker. Sort of an awkward take from center that time, Gary.
Yes, it was. You can see the lack of practice time for Nate Hibble. Not sure, again, how healthy that arm is. It's his left shoulder, but it seems to have affected his throwing. Doesn't look like those little finesse run plays are going to go against this great Nebraska defense.
Try to spread the field.
Again, no safety.
No tight end. Hibble just threw it up. Nobody had broke out. It was a busted play, and I think he thought Norman was going to keep going on it.
Well, the coaches on the sideline were yelling at Norman, and Josh Norman turned around and yelled back. But I think you see a little bit of miscommunication from a quarterback that didn't get a lot of work, and his receivers. One of the things I don't believe in is giving one quarterback all the snaps in practice. The way quarterbacks drop nowadays in all of football, I think you have to have two ready to play.
Here's third down and 9 for the Sooners. A strike for the first down, and he puts it in the hands of Martin Clayton, the redshirt freshman from Arlington.
So Mark Clayton caught 8 passes last week, but you can see, you sync up the quarterback with nobody in his face this time. Hibble gets to step into his throw in a perfect route by the freshman, going just beyond the first down marker, catching it. That's the good communication.
And you know, folks, that was a big play. Oklahoma may not be able to finish it off, but Nebraska was going to have field position with a minute and a half to go. Now OU keeps it. Long, Savage, jump ball, incomplete. Kramer and Antoine Savage. What a great duel that was.
Little mistake by Nate Hibble that time. He thought it was press coverage, and he was throwing the fade route. Nebraska lined up in press, but just bailed out of there. They were giving him the short throw. You see the defender, he actually beat the receiver to the ball. Goes up, jump ball, and this time the fabulous play that helped Oklahoma a year ago. No bounce this time.
Not off anybody's foot. What a play by Woolfolk last year. 119. Second down for Hibble and the Sooners. Complete.
Behind the receiver. Savage had his man beaten. Hibble did not lead him across the field. Against these type of man coverage players, you've got to get the guy hitting on the run. And I've been pretty impressed with the protection that this Oklahoma offensive line has given. The 8 sacks last week against Baylor doesn't seem to be showing up yet in this game.
I think Fields may be back. Yes, he is at that right tackle spot. Number 71 is back there at right tackle. Third down and 10. Carter, the other true freshman, is the center. They try to get in on Hibble. They force him out of the pocket on the move, and a diving reception at the 49-yard line by Clayton for a first down. Oklahoma with 108 at 16 yards, and Clayton now starting to step up.
Fields does a nice job right here, pushing Kelsey by. Hibble feels that pressure, moves up, and then finds the angle. Hibble throwing off the run. Beautiful throw.
Again, on the move, and he just threw it away wisely.
Kelsey won that one now, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Well, one side's pretty solid. Frank Romero, number 63, has not given up a sack all year. You mentioned that. But this other side right here, this is a problem. Kelsey knows he's got a freshman. He goes inside this time. Hibble did a good job of just making 2nd and 10.
His feet.
Yep.
He's got to keep those feet
Well,
moving.
he's all right going wide.
Yeah.
But
because he pushes, he can extend, and he's probably pretty strong. And Kelsey knows that with the quickness, he's not keeping those feet moving and shuffling over there on him. Oh, he'll learn. He's a young'un. Second down. Oh, he's got time. Got a man wide open at the 30-yard line. First down, Oklahoma. Antoine Savage. Now remember, Hibble and Savage hooked up for the 2 big touchdowns against Kansas State. That's Savage's 2 big scores, and there's a 32-yard reception. And if nothing else, you figure Oklahoma's going to get even with a Duncan field goal because of that play right there.
Nebraska tried to run an end stunt, tackle and stunt. They all ran into each other that time. Oklahoma didn't have to block anyone, and then there was a crossing route in the secondary. Nebraska lost the guy. Third open play.
Now, Trent Smith has a huge size advantage as a receiver. He's off the line to Hibble's right. On first down, they'll bring that end around again. Double reverse, throw back, and Hibble slipped. Hibble would have walked in from the 15-yard line as Mark Clayton threw it back off the double reverse, and Hibble simply slipped with the end zone in the crosshairs.
Here's the passer right over here, coming around one way. He's going to go downfield. Hibble got knocked down. That's really what changed it a bit, and then he slipped. Oh, my. That's a walk into the end zone. What a play. What a dialed play for Oklahoma.
Mangino makes the call of the day, and they just don't score off it. Now it's second down and 10.
Here's that matchup right here, you said, with Trent Smith.
Northern got it out of bounds at the 2-yard line with 37 seconds to go, and the Sooners with a pair of timeouts. Watch this throw.
Beautiful route to the corner this time. Again, no one in Hibble's face. When he has time to throw the ball, he is accurate with that football. We saw it early in the year, and big plays from Nate Hibble. And you got to say a lot for Chuck Long getting his backup quarterbacks ready. We saw it against Texas, and now we see it in Nate Hibble here today. Don't get a lot of stats, but they have been ready mentally to play.
Griffin is there. Tony is a blocker. It's a first down. Here's Griffin. Stop. He's got that great nose. So timeout Oklahoma. They send in the timeout for the bench. Lance Donnelly, the tight end, just raced up to the line judge. Called the timeout. You know what was interesting? Donnelly raced in like he was a substitute, made the timeout, and then raced back over to the
A lot of teams are doing that. That way the coach can control that timeout situation. The designated timeout guy. You think that's a scholarship position? Come in, call timeout, run out. Well, Oklahoma answered and stopped Nebraska. Now we'll see if this Nebraska defense can stop. Oklahoma still has one timeout, so they can dial any play in their repertoire.
It's not a bad game.
No, great game. You know, I wonder if Jason White was in the game, if they go option here. That would be the logical call that Oklahoma likes to run. We'll see if Dave Hibble can do it.
They might fake to Griffin and come up throwing, too.
Well, they can run anything they want. I mean, it's second down. They got a timeout here, so they can go run or pass. Tough call for Greg Bolt.
It looks like Trent Smith has such a size advantage over the DBs that they might try to, I will see, but Chuck Long upstairs and Mangino down in the field.
You can go pass, run, so you save your timeout for the field goal, or you can go run, call a timeout, and pass. And then if you don't have it, you save third down for a field goal. Got that option formation in. Kelsey. Well, he beat Fields that time badly. That was a very surprising call to go at the freshman tight tackle. No, that was Romero. I wonder if it was a check with me. I saw him check, but you could see Kelsey just runs right around Fields. Very, very surprising call to go at the freshman against that good football player.
So the Sooners used their last timeout. Now they got 23 seconds to go.
Now
and they've got third down. So now you throw and you throw it out of the end zone. If you don't have it, then you kick the field goal.
Now
so you take a shot at
the
end zone, and then you kick the field goal if it's unsuccessful. That's a pretty easy strategy to figure out here.
This is where I like Trent Smith, or really all of the receivers for Oklahoma have good size. They all go about 6 foot, 6'1". So the best matchup is the one you can throw the fade to. Boy, you practice and you game plan one of those plays that can get you a cheap 7 points, and your quarterback slips down. Bobby Stoops is saying, oh, man.
If they had a timeout, you could, run the quarterback draw in this situation, but they can't risk that right here. So here comes Hibble, trotting back onto the field. You see number 63, Frank Romero. He's just an outstanding offensive lineman, the left tackle.
Up here, huh?
He's looking for Clayton, and they'll settle for the field goal. Coming in on him was Deion Booker that time on the blitz. He got the pressure on Hibble.
Booker was lined up over Smith, but he came off. You see Booker. McPherson is right there, and there's that little chart. That's what I like to throw down there. You get a tight end against a smaller corner. I like that play. Force the official to call offensive pass interference.
So here's Duncan for the tie. 20-yarder.
Number 40, Tim Duncan.
And we are deadlocked at 10.
Let's
nice little somersault there by Duncan at the end. And OU and Nebraska with 19 seconds to go in the first half. And let's check in with Jackaroo.
Well, Brandon, as you know, Tim Duncan had more than his share of problems early in the season converting field goals. But it seems that what happened is he got a phone call. Actually, his special team coach, Jonathan Hayes, got a phone call from a Steelers special team coach who happened to be Duncan's brother. Happened to be the Steelers coach, Hayes' brother. And he said, I think he's got a problem in his approach to the ball. Well, then all of a sudden, a high school kicking coach called, same story. Another coach called, same story. Finally, Hayes says, well, I figured they must be right. Discussed it with Duncan. We made the change, and now he's hitting a lot more field goals. I asked him if he could be a little more specific about what the change was. He said, Jack, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Oh, kickers. Different breed. Bobby Stoops, you can see him going over what he wanted Duncan to do here. At the now watch here at the end of the kickoff. Celebrate a holder, and 59 knocks McCoy.
Oh, it's like bowling pins, huh?
Yeah, over he goes, huh?
I don't think you're going to get a call on that one. They'll love that. And this
Let's see if Stoops wants to take this one deep. Line drives it, and it'll be fielded at the 10-yard line. And that is Hasselbrook with a great return, and 8 seconds remaining here for the Cornhuskers.
Well, let's see. 2 even teams, 10-10. Not bad, huh?
Pretty good, and Nebraska has not trailed in the second half this season. They will enter a deadlock at 10. So the Cornhuskers and the Sooners battling for that #1 spot.
You know, what's
the
also
BCS Bowl.
interesting in this game, Brent, is the winning team has come from behind in 25 of the last 34 wins. So neither team is ready to kind of give this game up.
Here's Crouch, stopping the clock with only 4 seconds left. And they're not close to even trying a field goal here. So Wilson Thomas, who's been the favorite target of Eric Crouch here today.
I guess the only play now with 4 seconds, if you want to do that, if you're Nebraska, is throw the deep tip ball.
The one thing that the OU defense has certainly done in the first half is take away the run game from number 7. 6 carries for 6 yards is all Eric has here today. Passing, though, he's 10 of 15. Going to try to put it up for number 16. And it is intercepted by Everidge as time runs out. The crowd wanted an interference call on the sideline, and then the half could not have ended. But they're not going to get it. It's 10-10. Oklahoma and Nebraska. John and Terry, take it away in New York.
Brent, thanks a lot. There's a look at the Sears Trophy. And, of course, that's what every team starts out the season playing for. Only one team can claim it at the end of the year. Last season it was Oklahoma. Good chance the winner of this game is going to have a chance to play for that as well. But both teams sticking to their game plan.
2 dominant defenses. You'd think it'd come down to breakdowns in the kicking game, turnovers, but I'm impressed with both offensive coaches. They stay with their game plan. Nebraska running first to throw the deep ball, Oklahoma passing first, and Quentin Griffin getting the draws.
All right, we've got a 10-10 tie. When we come back, we'll look at some scores and highlights, including another unbeaten team in trouble. It's all coming up after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Well, Oklahoma will get the ball to start the second half, Gary, and we just saw Jason White try it on his knee, had his helmet on, but it looked like that knee was still pretty bad shape.
No, couldn't do it. He made one throw and he walked back. I mean, quarterbacks have been the story. Oklahoma has stopped Eric Crouch. He's only run the ball 6 times, Brent. Half of those, 3 of them for negative yards. And, of course, Oklahoma loses a quarterback, and Nate Hibble comes in and does some big things for him.
Yeah, obviously, Crouch, the focus of the OU defense, and what a defense this is. We could point out several players who have made big plays time after time in the first half.
It really has. They come at you in waves. You think it's Kalmus, you think it's Roy Williams, but they got tremendous players at each level, and that's really what makes any great defense, not just one good player, but about 8 playmakers.
With the wind at their back, OU decides to take a knee. I should say the wind was at the kicker's back so as to not confuse you. And here is our Chrysler drive summary here.
Look at that. Remember Frank Solich said, I won't be nervous about punting the ball. Oklahoma has not started one drive in plus territory. That's how you get to play good defense.
You know, you would think the way this game has gone that it will turn on a defensive player. He will make the key play as we check our halftime stats here.
Yeah, most of those 140 yards passing, a good gulp of them was in the last drive. And look at Nebraska, more passing yards offhand than rushing yards.
So Nate Hibble, who came in off the bench, led OU to their touchdown. He'll run the quarterback draw to a wide open middle of the field. Breaks free to the 39-yard line. 19 yards for him on that return. We go to Jackaroo.
Well, when I talked to Frank Solich, he was very happy with the performance of his team, but he did say the air more. Meanwhile, when I talked to Bob Stoops, Stoops said he was very pleased with the performance of his team. In fact, told me he doesn't see any change in the offensive game plan in the second half with Hibble at the controls rather than White.
Except Nate Hibble's limping a little bit after that run.
On first down for Hibble and the Sooners. Bobbles the snap. Comes up firing. Intercepted on a beauty. A ricochet. Sweeney gets his hands on it. Turnover. What a great interception for Erwin Sweeney.
The bounce last year went to Oklahoma. The bounce this year as Hibble catches the snap, bobbles the snap, picks up the ball. But there it is. The ball is thrown. Again, slightly behind. There's the bounce. Right off the face mask, and Sweeney gets it. Savage goes up. I think it hits him in the face mask. It does. Right in the helmet. And Sweeney gets the tip. Remember, Brett, a year ago, the tip went the other way.
Yes, it did now. Crouch brings Thunder Collins around. He's got the corner. Look out, sideline. Tripped up from behind by Derek Strait, who saved a touchdown as Collins was thundering for the end zone.
What a great block on Roy Williams. John Clem right here. Watch him get Williams. A backup in for one play. Your whole game plan, Clem, just come in and get Roy Williams. Thunder Collins will go down the sideline, and Derek Strait, another save. The second save of the day. Brandon Moore had one. Watch. Williams will come in. There's the block. Look at that block from the wide receiver, and he stayed high, too.
And Collins is shaken up on the play. He's down on the sideline after his 39-yard run. There, back on his feet. We'll take a break. Well, here's Collins heading for the end zone. Straight, whacks him across the bottom of the leg, and he was injured on the play, off on the sideline, and now Diedrich pounds the middle of the defense to the 21-yard line with that run by Collins. Nebraska now has rushed over 100 yards in this game. They've rushed for 104 yards, well below their average.
You want to see Nebraska power football? Watch Bonity come around. Watch the fullback come in there. ISO backside, number 77, number 45. This is power. Oh, man.
Second down for the Huskers. Diedrich again. Miller's open, stumbling to the 6-yard line where he is down. If he could have maintained his balance, he would have scored for the Huskers. But it's a first and goal, and they probed the middle with the running game. 14 yards here.
Same play coming back, but watch Brandon Everett. He finds the umpire and loses the back. Watch him get right up inside there, and he kind of loses them right there. Right behind him, Peekaboo, coming out the other way, and Everett can't find him.
There's that first and goal. Who are you looking for a goal line stand after the interception? Nebraska trying to score. Diedrich.
Three straight plays.
With Roy Williams making the stop.
Same play 3 times in a row. Rocky Kalmus is starting to understand the big guy, number 77. Panotti had 32 pancake blocks. That's how you do it. You keep running ISO.
Jackaroo, what's the situation with Thunder Collins?
Well, you should expect to see Thunder Collins back, Brandon. It's his left ankle. The doctor checked it over, said it was all stable. They're going to retape him up, and he'll be ready to go.
Castle is the fullback. Crouch has got it, and OU reads it. Down at the 10-yard line because of Jimmy Wilkerson.
Another negative play. You wonder if Nebraska didn't get a little too cute. The way they've been running the ball inside. This is Jimmy Wilkerson right here. Watch the coaches at the top. They know it. They know Crouch is the guy. Always keep your eye on Crouch like that. Yes, exactly the way I told them all day. Both coaching staffs inside goal line territory got a little too cute, running the ball right behind a freshman and trying a trick play down near the goal line.
Nickel package in for OU. Thomas has been the favorite target. Crouch keeps it. In trouble. Diving, incomplete. Just bounced, or it was almost picked off by Matt McCoy, who came in on the nickel package And Nebraska will have to settle for a field goal.
Watch the two guys, Venables and Stoops. Oh, move over. Adjustment. Watch the zone. Watch the quick trap. The quarterback draw. Everything. But was it an interception? At the end of this play, you can see Crouch by time. Oh, man, Stoops is into it. Well, it looked like it dropped. It looked like it hit the ground to me. Yeah, hit the ground very clearly.
There's a 26-yard field goal attempt for the lead. Josh Brown. He nails it. An interception into 3 points, but Oklahoma did not give up a touchdown down there. That's big for their defense. 245 consecutive sellouts here at Memorial Stadium, and our aerial views are courtesy of Goodyear and its fleet of airships covering major sporting events for more than 75 years on the wings of Goodyear. Sold out here in Lincoln ever since 1962. Think about that, folks. Go back to 1962. Get a seat, walk up and buy a ticket, come on in and see the Huskers. And the kickoff in the end zone. It'll come out on the 20-yard line. And let's now take a look at this Morgan Stanley well-connected storyline. As Gary's told you, Crouch has been the target of the Oklahoma defense, and they now have held him to 0 net yards rushing. Crouch to Thomas. The first half, he threw at him 8 times, 6 catches for 48 yards. Crouch passing is 10 of 17 for 102 yards. No touchdowns and 1 interception.
I think if you would tell Frank Solich that Eric Crouch had 0 yards rushing and you're winning the football game, you feel good about where you're standing if you're Nebraska.
Leading by 3, 13-10. First down for Hibble and the Sooners. Toss Griffin. Beats the end. No. From behind, number 57, Chris Kelsey. What a game he has had.
Kelsey, Nebraska goes with their 3 linebacker look when Oklahoma puts 2 running backs in the football game. Scott Shanley, number 43, was there, but Kelsey is unblockable so far. Jared Fields is going, man, it wasn't like this in high school. I mean, I had those little guys I could push around. Kelsey is having his way with the freshman tackle.
Here's the dime package for Nebraska defensively. Second down and 10. They think Hibble's going to throw it, and they're right. He'll look middle. He's got his tight end Smith for a first down for 12 more yards. Nothing that the little DBs can do about that.
I'll tell you, Craig Bowl in Nebraska, when they look at this film afterwards, is going to complain about Trent Smith pushing off on his routes. He comes down against McPherson, number 1, and he is very physical, just like you want to be. Go through that jam and pushes off with his right hand. McPherson cannot handle that. That is a great matchup for Oklahoma.
Smith, the leading receiver, 5 catches for 48 yards for the Sooners, and their touchdown. Now it's first and 10. They've got Savage on an end around, and Nebraska was ready for it. Selecta, number 56, the senior defensive tackle, was right there.
I think McPherson needs to get off of Trent Smith, Brent, a little bit and use his speed. Don't try to muffle him. Force Smith to run his routes and cut underneath those throws. That'll take that tight end away.
Oklahoma does not change its personnel offensively, so Nebraska sticks with its 11 players. And now it'll be second down. Middle is open deep. Here comes the blitz. Booker almost got there. Deion Booker getting there. He left the middle wide open. That is twice that Hibble has not adjusted when he sees the middle clear. All they have to do is lob something down the middle. Man, it's wide open here.
Well, Booker's going to come right inside on them right now, but on this play, they happen to have a screen pass on. There's not much he could do. You can see there's the safety coming from the other side. That zone blitz look is really what's doing the job against Oklahoma.
And you pointed out how tough that is to work against. Third down and 8 now for Hibble. Booker now backs off. He's in center field. Now Hibble goes to the middle this time and Smith again. He had the first down, but he made it first back.
Very, very close.
It'll depend on the spot.
And Hibble's hurting.
Right at the mark, and here's Hibble now They may have to go to their third quarterback, and that would be Hunter Wall. There's Hunter, number 14 over here.
We've seen him catch a touchdown pass. We haven't seen him throw. Now, if the starting quarterback gets 70% of the passes, you can assume the backup quarterback, Hibble, and that's going to be his shoulder. His left shoulder gets driven into the ground.
Kelsey got up his block and took him down.
Starter gets 70%, backup gets 30%, third string, you're watching. You're running scout team. You get no snaps.
The measurement, and first down for tight end Trent Smith. His 6th catch of the game, keeping him going, so that also brings White is going to try it. Jason White.
Here is the advantage of the shotgun. You don't have to drop. It's one of the things that you can do being immobile. Just stand there.
And you know the Huskers are going to come storming. They know they've got a quarterback who's gimpy. 3 seconds, got to hurry. And they'll run Griffin. The Huskers jump it, but Griffin picks up about 4 yards. Federal makes the stop. We check in with John Saunders. John?
Brent, it's time for the Burger King update. Syracuse against Virginia Tech. Cuse with a 17-0 lead, and Tech finally gets on the board. Keith Burnell from 2 yards out. Again, Virginia Tech had never trailed in the second half. They're still down by 10. Brent.
And Fields, who let Kelsey through, has been taken out here. Jamal Brown is in at right tackle for OU. Nebraska shows blitz. Booker. Incomplete, intended for Smith, and it's third down, and they were storming Jason White.
Zone blitz again. They come from one side, they drop the safety to the opposite side. I'm telling you, Jason White could not do it. You'll see this guy go back, this guy come in. That's that zone blitz and fifth package that so many people are seeing. There's no way Jason White could play if he had to take the snap from the center, drop back, and throw.
Third down and 6 for White and OU out of the shotgun. And there was movement before the snap. So that'll cost OU 5, and we check in with Jack Aruda on Nate Hibble.
Well, Brent, they checked, the medical personnel checked out Nate Hibble. It seemed as if he got either poked in the eye or hit in the head. They were checking that portion of him more than his shoulder. They made him run a couple of times back and forth, cleared his head. They've approved him to go back in.
Yep, there he is, Jack. Just on cue when you said it.
2 wounded quarterbacks here. One with a knee, one with a shoulder, woozy head. We saw that woozy head against Kansas State.
Third down and 11. The go-to guy has been Trent Smith. But they need 11 yards. Booker shows blitz again. Now he's coming. They'll throw it up in the air. Incomplete as Gross turns back and makes a fabulous play on Mark Clayton.
And this ball was thrown where you have to throw it. If you're watching this game and think it's a bad throw, really it's not. The ball should be thrown to the outside right here. Throw to the back shoulder. You depend on your receiver. That ball's a drop. That one was a drop. You depend on your receiver to catch that ball like that.
And now Gross deep to return this punt. Ferguson for OU. Nebraska leads it by a field goal. Gross at the 24. Nothing doing as Teddy Lehman right there.
Oh, he got 15
And a
yards.
penalty flag.
He threw the ball. Hit him right in the head.
Threw the ball, hit him in the head, and he's picked up a huge penalty, and the young man knows better than that. Yep. Young man knows he just made a big mistake.
I wonder if he's going to be able to sell that it slipped out of his hand to the coaching staff, because he turned around, threw the ball, and he knows it's going to cost his team about the ball at the 27-yard line or so. It's going to cost him 13 yards.
Bigger problem for Nebraska is whether or not he's hurt.
It's tackled by Teddy Lehman, spins around. He's got his ankle, Rocky Kelmus right there, twisting his ankle a little bit, and that's what gets him upset.
Yeah, the Rocky took a fastball to the back of the hard
That
hat.
doesn't hurt. Look at him. He's got his ankle.
Linebacker.
He got his ankle. It's just that's Big 8 football. Now it's Big 12, but that's how it started around here, right? That's why he was upset.
No question. So now it's Crouch and Nebraska. And you would think it's up to this OU defense now to get a turnover. They may have to score instead of the offense here in the second half. Crouch slips Harris. Not the second man for about 3 yards. Calmus is right there. And a reminder, coming up next, we've got Michigan, Iowa, Maryland, Florida State, UCLA, Stanford here on the network.
I was just going to say, where is the option? Where is that option football that Nebraska is so good at? Penetration from Tommy Harris and the speed of Lehman and Calmus have stopped that option football.
John Clem in that split in for Nebraska on second down. Toss Diedrich. Diedrich is wrapped up by Mr. Calmus.
2 straight tackles by Calmus. And then the tackle on the punt return. And then he forced a 15-yard penalty.
He plays on all the special teams.
Exactly.
I mean, OU special teams are special because they put their best players on.
Yeah, you're right. Brandon Moore, remember, made the big tackle on the punt return also.
Third down and 8.
The only consistent play for Nebraska today has been the passing game.
And Crouch is 10 of 17 for 102 yards. Need one here. And Nebraska is forced to punt. Nebraska forced to punt as Calmus makes still another stop.
Steve Krewald, number 45, shows you how to pick up a blitzing linebacker. Watch 45, watch Roy Williams. You don't go for his ankles or knees. You stand up and take him on. Boom. Stop him right in his tracks. That's what you do. Good coverage downfield, though. Zone blitz again. Well, that zone blitz is a dynamic weapon in college football.
This should be excellent field position. From behind Larson. Fagan couldn't see it for a moment. What a big punt this is by Larson with the wind at his back. Fagan will try to get some back. Ripped down at the 17. Oh, what a fierce war this is. Just like you figured, it's Oklahoma, Nebraska. Timeout. 5:56 to go here in the third. Nebraska leading Oklahoma by a field goal. Backup quarterback Nate Hibble. His numbers for the afternoon. Checks in right back in the shotgun against the Nebraska defense. And they have been showing pressure with Hibble in the game, leaving center field open. And Hibble looking sideline on the slant. Got it complete to the 27-yard line. The Pacific Life game summary. And the quarterback story has been the one for Oklahoma. Jason White twisting his knee and limping off. Nate Hibble driven into the ground by Kelsey and forced to leave. But now White has come back for a couple of plays. And Hibble shaking off the damage to that left shoulder and the wooziness back on the field. And it is first down after Clayton makes the catch. He has 3 catches for 37 yards. Timeout is being called by OU.
Well, we talked about what each team likes to do in this football game. Oklahoma pretty much following the game plan, but look at the story right here. Option play for Nebraska has been shut down and has forced Nebraska to go down here and throw the ball many more times than they wanted to. They've been successful, but they're a little bit out of sync for what a Nebraska likes to do.
Nebraska needs the speed of Amon Green. He's down below in Jackaroo, Jack.
Well, he's with us, Amon. I don't know if you have any eligibility left. I think I do. I did come out early, so I know I have a legit semester left.
Let me ask you a question. As you watch this offense that's been created by Frank Solich, how does it compare to Dr. Tom's offense?
I say one big difference that I've noticed, Coach Solich, he passes the ball a little bit more. You know, the running game is still effective, but he throws it up in the air a little bit more than Coach Osborne did. But, you know, back when I was here with me, Scott, and Tommy, them guys, the run was real effective. We didn't have to pass the ball much, but when you kind of open up the offense, to hit him with the random pass, it makes him a little bit more effective.
Well, it's good to see, and he's been hanging out with 2 guys over here Matt Davidson, you remember that great play against Missouri, and Scott Frost. So all the big stars are back.
All right, Damon Green having a great year with the Green Bay Packers. And now, Hibble on the quarterback draw. You can see it coming. Nebraska read it perfectly, and he's tackled at the 31-yard line. So here we are, Memorial Stadium on a beautiful Saturday afternoon with Nebraska holding a lead by a field goal after that interception by Sweeney on a ricochet off the face mask. Thunder Collins turned the corner. The key run in the game. He was injured on that play, remember? We haven't seen him since then.
Derek Strait saved the touchdown.
So now it is up to Hibble to drive the Sooners here. Second down. The swing left to Griffin, and Griffin's run down by Jamie Burrow, the middle linebacker, tracked him. Well, Sunday, join our friend Chris Berman and the gang. They'll discuss all the day's NFL games on NFL Countdown, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. For you guys who are hardcore football fans, that's the show to watch. NFL Countdown, 11 a.m. Eastern Sunday. Third down now. 5 yards to go here for OU.
Let's look for Trent. Tight end. See if he goes to his matchup that has been working. There he is right there.
McPherson is the defender on him. We're trying to square up, but Hibble likes to look to the left. First down at no. Clayton has grabbed it. Yes, it was a catch. At the 40-yard line, Mark Clayton.
One-on-one coverage. You got a first down earlier this time against Sweeney. Runs the stop route, comes back, catches the ball. All the great receivers returning for Oklahoma. But Mark Clayton has made his mark as a freshman here coming through. Talent finds their way onto the football field, don't they?
Yeah, it sure does. 4 catches for 44 yards. First down and 10. Hibble likes to look off to the left, doesn't he? He runs into Kelsey and friends. Tough slug against the left side of that defensive front. Clanton, the nose tackle, was there. So it'll be second down and long with 3:25 left here in the third quarter. Clayton is out to the left. Smith is down to the right. They're on the toss. Throw back. Here comes the flea flicker. The throw from Norman, almost intercepted. He was well covered. Pat Ricketts stayed with him going down the field. Number 28 did not give ground. He did not come up on the run.
See, one of these flea flickers like this doesn't work when your defensive backs are playing man-to-man. They're just looking at their receiver. They're not even seeing what's happening down there. They got their guy. They're playing. I got my man. If I stick with my man like Coach says, I don't care what's happening back there. Nice job by Ricketts.
Here's third down.
Got Traver on Smith. They're bringing him in to block. They agree to blitz. This is a blitz audible.
Goes left deep. Incomplete. McPherson comes up big defensively for the Cornhuskers.
Was that ball catchable?
I thought Norman had a crack at it.
So did I. McPherson was in cover. They put Traver over on the other side on the tight end. And then Hibble checks to a blitz audible, keeps the tight end in. Ball was thrown in the proper spot. I don't know if McPherson got his hand in there or not.
Cornelson replaces Gross as the return man, and they went after Ferguson.
Did he get his hand on that punt?
Yeah. So good field position for Eric Crouch. This ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chrysler. Drive equals love. Pacific Life, annuities, insurance, investments. Discover the power of Pacific Life. Nokia. Personalize your phone, your life, your world. Nokia. Connecting people. And Burger King, home of the Whopper.
Let's go take a look if we have time of that last play again to see if this ball was catchable. Thrown up. Well, actually, McPherson did a good job, but that ball was catchable again. Someone needs to make a big play for Oklahoma.
Only a 17-yard punt. And Eric pulls out. The receiver's covered, and he will not get away from Jimmy Wilkerson, who brings a lot of quickness.
Well, we talked about Eric Crouch running the ball, and then he might have to play offhand with his passing in this game. He has done that. Look at throwing the ball all over the field. The only place he hasn't is thrown it left right there. Eric Crouch has been effective enough throwing the ball to keep Nebraska in the game. Where is that isolation play that was so effective? Remember, fullback coming right up behind that big offensive guard, Bonasi, coming in there. Let's see if we see that again.
Second down and 9. Here's Diedrich. Battles his way near midfield before Roy Williams makes the
There's
tackle.
that isolation play. Milt Tenopor says, hey, Coach, I know we love all those gadget plays and real pretty, but when we run the ball with big number 77 and 45, we're effective.
Tracy Wistrop into the lineup this time. He's caught one pass. Galladay is the other tight end. They line up in the power formation here at the 3rd and 2. And now Crouch is going to pull back. Wistrop overthrown at the 30-yard line as we picked him up, checking into the lineup. We knew he was on the field for a reason.
Didn't have that next gear, though. That gear that's so familiar when he's healthy. Eric Crouch thrown to him so many times. Let it up there that time, and Tracy didn't have 5th gear. He only got it to 4th gear that time.
Now Gross does come in as one of the gunners. He and Kramer are going to try to get downfield on Fagan. Last punt was 68 yards for Larson. Wind is at his back. It will be at Oklahoma's back for the final quarter. Sails, and open goes the end zone that won't. It's going to be down at the 7-yard line. And we check in now with John Saunders. John.
Brett, Ohio State leading for most of the day against Penn State, but the Nittany Lions fighting back. Zach Mills, 26 yards to Tony Johnson, just creeps across, and Penn State pulls within 27-22, still in the 3rd quarter. Also in the Big Ten, Purdue with a 2-point lead over Northwestern. Brent, back to you.
All right, John, thank you. And here, Nebraska leads Oklahoma 13-10.
Courageous performance from Nate Hibble right here. We saw him do it before.
Brown stays in at right tackle. Griffin. A couple of yards in the middle of that time, and as they probe away. Let's take a look now at Oklahoma's receptions for the day here, and you can see the tight end Smith leads the way.
Well, they have so many different weapons, but the emergence of the tight end, I don't know if it's because of the lack of protection, not being able to get the ball downfield, but the tight end has become a bigger part of this offense than we could ever remember.
Well, the big play guy is still Savage. He's the one who can get you yards after the reception if they can get it in his hands. Second down. Griffin again. So they're playing it very conservatively, coming out from the noisy end down there. No checkoffs. Just very content now if they have to wind up with a punt.
And I think
they
the reason
want to let the
clock run out, right?
So they get the wind at their back.
Very good not to throw the ball. I think you're playing field position at this time of the game.
And they'll have it at their back. OU saying the 4th quarter belongs to us. And Nebraska saying not so fast. We'll return after this message and a word from our ABC station. Gary, this reminds me of Texas A&M. And Oklahoma stayed in the game, got a big break, a turnover in the 4th quarter, and won that game last year.
Well, it's 2 good defensive teams. I love the way Bob Stoops played to his punt game right here and took the win. Did not run an incomplete pass to stop the punt.
And makes it pay off with that pass to Norman for the 1st down for Oklahoma. So Josh Norman from Midland, Texas, gets right to that mark before he goes out of bounds. And to start the fourth quarter, a fresh set of downs for Nate Hibble and OU.
The zone blitz has been good to Nebraska, putting pressure on the quarterback and still getting a safety in the middle of the field. Let's see if they go back to that on second and third down.
4 receivers, Hibble out under center. Here comes that end around Norman, and it was read well on the left side of the defense. Willie Amos came flashing up to cut it off, so he could not get outside and force the play.
Every time you watch Oklahoma play, you appreciate more and more Josh Heupel a year ago and how he ran this offense. He was a master at reading the blitzes, understanding when he could hold the ball, when he had to get rid of it. Right now, Nate Hibble isn't there yet.
Second down. Hibble in trouble down at the 20-yard line. And that was Mark Bedrell making the stop for the Huskers.
Zone blitz, zone blitz. You bring a guy off the corner, you drop back into the center. This is very difficult for an offense that has no tight end and only one back to handle. You have to be on the ball. This is a quarterback, remember, that didn't get a lot of practice time. Very difficult situation.
Nebraska sticking with the 4-man defensive line so far here in this half.
Oh, no.
And they got to hurry. There's only 3 seconds left to do. They have now used a second timeout this half. That leaves them with only one. No in a tight defensive game. We'll take a break. The Nebraska player of the game has been number 57, Chris Kelsey. He sent one freshman lineman to the bench. He's beat up on a second one. He's driven a quarterback out of the game, and he's made life difficult for Quentin Griffin. So Chris Kelsey, whose brother was a great player here, doing the job on the slant. Hibble hits Smith, and he is short of the first down.
The zone blitz did the job again. Bring an extra guy, drop back, force the quarterback to throw the ball short, and make the tackle. Hibble comes off favoring and holding his left arm. I think he's a little dingy, not even reading the signals very well from the sideline. That forced him into another timeout.
So Gross is in to return this punt by Ferguson. Ferguson been in and out here today. Drives one. Takes an OU bounce out of bounds. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better. Swordfish. Own it today on video cassette or DVD. And Liberty Mutual. It's more than insurance. It's insurance in action. Gorgeous day for football here in Lincoln. You look down on the sea of red. Cornhuskers, their average starting field position has been their 37, and Oklahoma their own 19. That's a switch for OU, folks. They have dominated all year.
And they still have not started a drive in plus territory the whole game.
So far, Solich's strategy, but he only leads it by 3. Probes with the fullback and not much doing because of Wilkerson.
13-10 lead right now for Nebraska. You're wondering if they're just going to play conservatively, not try to punt the ball, but not do anything silly and turn the ball over. I don't think they believe Oklahoma can drive the ball on them with that blitz package they got going.
They've got to work in the win. So first downs for Solich could be huge in this quarter. You don't want to be sitting on a 3-point lead against these guys too early. Second down. Here comes Diedrich spinning, free, still going to the 36-yard line, and now it is 3rd and short.
That was kind of a bad, sloppy handoff from Eric Crouch that time to Diedrich. Diedrich did a nice job. The ball was handed up a little bit on the numbers right here. See if we can see it. There's Diedrich right back there. If he gets it up really high, yes, real high on the shoulder pads. Diedrich did a nice job of finding the ball and not turning it over. You want to get that ball at the bottom of the numbers when you hand it off.
3rd down.
to go for it, but I can't imagine they're going to go for it.
Oh, that would be.
No,
No,
I can't
they got to punt.
Can't imagine. What a play Kelmus made that time. Pressure inside. He came in, dove in, and blew the play up also.
Yeah, the defensive game, Kalmus and Kelsey have stood out so far here today.
You make a good point about the window. Every exchange favors Oklahoma.
And Fagan is up on Larson, who gets off a good one into that win. And it goes out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. 70 yards of turf ahead for Oklahoma and Hibble. Timeout. Now, thanks to the folks at Goodyear for today's aerial shots. It was 1925 when Goodyear first began coverage of major sporting events. Total yards for Oklahoma today, 300. For Nebraska, 239. And now it's the Nebraska defense, which must dig in against Hibble. And the Sooners, who are looking for a rally. Trailing it by 3. From the pocket, holds up a beautiful pass to Norman. At the 45-yard line, 15 yards, we check in with Jackaroo.
Well, Brent and Gary, as we watch Nate Hibble, each time that the OU defense is out there, a mass of trainers and doctors surround him, questioning him, asking him to go through different movements to check on the shoulder and on his head. Then he moves over to Hunter Wall, and Wall quizzes him. I think probably Wall saying, "You sure you're okay, so I don't have to go in?"
And Jack, they won't quiz him after that last play. That was a beautiful delivery from the pocket. He stayed right in the protected pocket, and the offensive line gave him the time. Now first 10. He's got time again. Stanton delivers this time to Clayton, who slips away from Gross and makes it inside the 40-yard line. It's another first down. 2 well-delivered balls here by Nate Hibble, and the Sooners are driving.
He's also throwing to his left, which you pointed out earlier, a lot in this football game. But Clayton runs a tremendous route. A lot of fades in bump and run. You get kind of lulled into throwing fades all the time against bump and run deep. This time, go out, run that hook route, and force that corner, not just to run you, but cover you.
Nebraska's been unable to get close to Hibble on those 2 pass plays. They get close that time, and they force the incompletion. That was pressure that time that was coming hard up the middle. John Clanton, the nose man, was finally able to bring some penetration.
Brent, Nebraska saw the films of 8 sacks for Baylor when they were doing a lot of stunting. Ends this way, tackles the other way. The stunting has taken too long. See the stunt to the outside. Coming straight up the pocket is what you have to do in a quick release team. Don't have time to run stunts.
Second down. Easy releases. They came flying, number 57. Mr. Kelsey in on top of him. Not a chance in the world for Hibble that time. Now, if you go back to the first half, folks, watch Hibble. He's knocked down, gets up wide open. The end zone's there, and he slips. And that is a play that will linger in the memories of Sooner fans forever if Hibble can't finish off a drive here soon.
I think Oklahoma needs about 5 to 10 yards. If not a first down to kick the field goal, it's downwind.
So on third down, Hibble's looking for that. Rolls to the right, throws against Kelsey, and Clayton went rolling for it and pulled it in, and he might have gotten enough yardage. It's going to be close.
Right, it's right on the edge. You got about 4. Now, do you play field position if you're Stoops, or do you go for the 3 points? You punt the ball, or do you try to kick the long field goal?
Looking for a 50-yarder, Duncan, eh? Runs onto the field. Here comes Timmy Duncan. And Matt McCoy will be his holder. Jason White is his normal holder, but he's shaken up.
They might.
So here comes a 53-yarder if they kick it. Push it. They're going to play for field position. And they bury him inside the 5. Folks, go back to the Texas game. That's exactly
talked about the game solutions. What would decide the game? Neither team has handled first down well. That's why there's not a lot of points. Both quarterbacks getting hit, but the big plays might decide this game, and there's some big plays out there, isn't there, Brent?
Roy Williams, off of that pooch against Texas, came flying. But they set him out to the left side of the formation. A little bit different offenses up against Chris Sims here. And they hand off to Diedrich, and he goes to nowhere as the defense digs in now with Everidge making a stop. John Saunders.
Brent, Joe Paterno making his charge to pass the Bear today, and Zach Mills a big reason why. 14 yards to Eric McCoo. Penn State grabs the lead. Then they picked one off and had a chance again, although I believe they just punted. Penn State leading 29-27. Also, Syracuse against Virginia Tech. The Orange looking to close out Virginia Tech from the ranks of the unbeaten.
Second down for Nebraska, trying to come out from inside the 5-yard line. Crouch has got a crease. His best run of the day. Out of bounds at the 24. Eric Crouch, 19 yards, and his biggest run of this game. 11 times he's carried the ball for 23, so you know what this run means.
Watch the lineman run into the fullback right here. This is a run all the way, not an option play. You see the fullback and the lineman, the tailback, Diedrich, comes up and gets a great block inside. Quarterback follow, they call it. Follow the tailback, not part of the option package, but the biggest play so far for Eric Crouch.
Breathing room for the Huskers. Line up in the eye. Bring Thomas through in motion, and straight goes with him. They'll toss to Diedrich. Diedrich got a toss play. Pounds his way to the 29-yard line, and Williams is there for the stop.
One play gets him out of trouble. Might turn the field upside down against that great Oklahoma defense. I don't believe Nebraska's going to call a play that can be a big turnover play. They're going to play it solid.
Remember this too, Gary. OU is down to only one timeout with the seconds now starting to tick on them. Little field position going on. 7:37. OU needs that ball back. And a timeout. So Crouch will talk about it.
That Oklahoma defense has not allowed anyone to run the ball on it. This is a Nebraska offense in this football game, 163 yards, but they're number one in the country in rushing, averaging 339 yards a game. I do believe Nebraska is going to have to go over 200 to put this game away.
And Oklahoma's defense has scored in 7 of the last 10 regular season games. So it's an opportunistic defense that will attack Diedrich this time, and it'll be third and about 5. You can see how far they've got to go, and 1st and 10 this quarter is brought to you by Chevy Trucks. So that's the distance facing Nebraska, and this is going to be a big play.
Third down, I got to put the ball in Eric Crouch's hands. I would run the option play, but I would tell him, be careful of the pitch. Don't just be flopping that ball all around.
Rocky Kalmus will be looking for just that. Number 20 ready. So is 7 on the other side, and here he comes. Running away. Penalty flag. Face mask on the play. Crouch goes down at the 26-yard line.
Huge call. Huge call. Inadvertent, I think it was Jimmy Wilkerson, number 45. They just got him by the edge of the face mask. It'll be a 5-yarder, but it'll be at the first down.
Incident face mask. On the defense.
Is it Brandon Moore, number 46? Is it Heineke, number 89? It looks like it's Heineke. There you see it. Incidental, 5 yards. He got him right across the face mask. That's all you need to call the 5-yarder. Nebraska did come with the option, but Oklahoma was ready for it.
So a reminder, conclusion of the game will select the Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. First down and 10. On the end around, the double reverse. And they're going to throw off of it. Crouch is open. He's got it. But there's the end zone. They won't catch him. Eric Crouch zips into the end zone. As Mike Stunts, a quarterback and a wingback, number 16, comes in for the trick play. And he hits Crouch a 63-yarder. All he didn't do was pose for the Heisman down there in the end zone, folks, on this play.
Both teams have the same play. Oklahoma has it. Kibble slips. Stunts. Throws it to number 7. Catches the ball. The same play. One slips. One doesn't. It might be a trip to the Rose Bowl. Nebraska got penalized.
What a call.
Penalized for over a celebration. They're going to go back.
What a call by Frank Solich. He's the offensive coordinator. The headset off over there on the sideline. And wants a clarification on the celebration penalty. And he's saying, if we don't celebrate that, what do we celebrate? As it's being brought back now.
How about how
the 25-yard line. So the young man from Council Bluffs, Iowa, St. Albert High School. He had been in a few plays, we are told, by spotter Brian Mogelson, but only as a decoy. They brought him on the end around, and folks remember he tossed it left-handed. No one had scouted that play. Extra point is up. Got it. So Josh Brown from Boyle, Oklahoma, adds the extra point, and Nebraska leads OU by 10.
Watch the pitch here. This pitch is not clean. Stunts does a nice job of catching it. He bobbles it, then runs, takes his time, and hits Crouch right on the numbers. Very interestingly, yesterday, Nebraska on Friday usually practices in the stadium. Greg Solich took his team to the practice field. Maybe he was working on this trick play.
So Crouch makes it work. Here's how the radio announcers called it here in Lincoln.
First down and 10 to go. Here's a handoff to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stunts. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out there at 40. It is Eric Crouch. 15, 10, 5 points down.
So now the ball's on the tee with the Huskers leading it by 10, and the nation's longest winning streak is in jeopardy. So the throwback to the quarterback works for Nebraska. It's for Oklahoma. Short kick and a fair catch by Norman at the 24-yard line. With 6:11 to go.
We talked about it would be a big play that might turn this game. Oklahoma against Texas had the big play on defense. Here, Frank Solich dials one very similar to the one Oklahoma had, didn't complete it. Turns out to be the difference in the game.
Two huge plays by Crouch. Let's go back when they were trying to come out down here. He finds the crease and runs for the first down. Then he catches the long touchdown pass. That run was 19 yards.
How about the huge play on the face mask when they had him stopped?
So now it is up to Hibble. First down. Here's the toss off the option. Look at Griffin. Look at the corner. Out of bounds. Picked up about 7 yards. Kelsey, the defender there. So Eric Crouch now, 11 carries for 23 yards. 1 reception for 63 yards and a touchdown.
Nebraska now can continue to pressure the quarterback with their zone blitz package. It's not a bit of a gamble at all to bring people and stay in zone.
Second down and 2. Quarterback draw. Hibble short of the first down, and it is third down. So you go back now to 2 plays. We have seen Eric Crouch make it work. Now this one, watch, in the first half, after getting knocked down, he's wide open for the throwback. So one works, Gary, and one doesn't work.
Exactly right. 3 big plays on that drive. Crouch's run off the goal line, Heineke's face mask, and then the gamble by Frank Solich that works for a touchdown on the throwback to the quarterback.
3rd down for Hibble. Off the blitz, he's got the first down. Norman to the 40-yard line. This is a defining game for Solich. And he lost this one at home with the schedule that they've got. Being the favor here today, there would have been howls. Remember, it took Tom Osborne years before he won a national championship. The feeling in Nebraska, Solich will not be given that much time. But after that call and this game, if the Cornhuskers hold up, then Frank Solich will be the king at least for a weekend around here. Back goes Hibble. Middle high, incomplete. Time permitting now, stay tuned for the Thrifty Carvino post-game report, scores and highlights from across the country. And how about the job of Mike Stunts, the left-handed throwing quarterback who is also a wingback.
Very interesting, Lou. It was set up, as Brian Mulvison told you. He was brought in the game a number of times to kind of decoy, so he didn't stick out like a sore thumb when they had the big play on. Remember, Oklahoma only has 1 timeout. Should they score, they're going to have to go onside kick. Blitz audible, bring the tight end in. They're going to max protect.
Hibble is back. Under pressure. Fires incomplete. So let's check in with John Saunders on Virginia Tech. Still in trouble, John?
They are, Brent, but they are marching back with about 5 minutes left. Now down only 6 points because Grant Nola here goes 17 yards to Sean Witten in the end zone for the touchdown. That gets it to 20-14, as I said, with about 5 minutes left. Meanwhile, Penn State and Joe Paterno looking to add 1 to the Bears' record. He leads with about 7 minutes to go. Brent.
All right, and here, John, Nebraska's up now by 10. We're inside of 5 minutes. Down he goes, Jamie Burrow makes the play.
They blitz from the side, but they keep Deion Booker in center field. None of those deep, loud throws for cheap touchdowns. Coming off the side right here, the linebacker's going to come, and look at this. No all-out blitz. There's the safety in the middle. If Hibble completes it, he's only going to get a first down, not a touchdown. Good coaching by Greg Bowl. That's Jamie
Ferguson. From the 19. Upended at the 24-yard line. So here is your Pacific Life game summary. And it has been the tale of 2 plays, Gary.
Really has. Oklahoma tried it first. The throwback to the quarterback. One guy slips, and in a huge game, the other guy doesn't.
And another chapter is added to the Oklahoma-Nebraska lore. And a 15-yard penalty, I think, has just been assessed to the Oklahoma bench.
I think Bobby Stoops is still unhappy with that face mask call in that last drive. He thought he got his shirt, not the face mask. Following that play, the big play down to Crouch for the touchdown, and Stoops has not forgotten.
First down and 10. The nation's longest winning streak is in jeopardy. OU, 20 straight wins coming in here. There's the young man who's got a great, great future. Tommy Harris, freshman defensive lineman.
The only thing Nebraska needs to do now is not turn the ball over. Run the clock, run the ball, use up all of the 25-second clock.
3:46, and there's their last timeout. So we said a 20-game winning streak. Here's the last time they lost. Mississippi, Oklahoma. And in the bowl game, that is the last time that they tasted defeat until perhaps here today. And now we check in with John Saunders.
Brent, just to remind everyone what's coming up next, Sean Foster, UCLA, they'll look to remain unbeaten as they take on Stanford. In the Big Ten, Marquise Walker in Michigan face Iowa. Michigan has yet to lose in the Big Ten. And how about these coaches? Bobby Bowden of Florida State taking on Ralph Friedgen of Maryland. Maryland undefeated.
Well, I wonder what Mr. Friedgen can do in Tallahassee. That'll be a tough, tough test for him. Gary?
Well, I'm still mesmerized by this game right here. You don't see many big games like that. Will that throwback pass be the play that we see in the future, like Johnny Rodgers' punt return? A tremendous football game that usually turns on one play. Oklahoma now out of timeouts.
Here's Eric.
They're not even handing the ball off anymore, are they?
Nope. Just content now to bring the clock down with Harris jumping him.
About 17 seconds will run off before the 25-second clock even gets started, and then the 25-second clock will start.
Let me just say that about this winning streak, it has been a magnificent run by Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma team. It was something that I don't think anybody saw coming. And even if they lose here today, that does not take away anything. And remember what I said at the top of the day. This could be the first of 2 games between these two teams. Oklahoma wins the South. What a rematch. That'll be in Dallas on December 1st. That'll be one of the great settings of all time. Because if Nebraska's still sitting number 1, let's say they are, wouldn't Oklahoma love to knock them out of a shot at the Rose Bowl? And who's to say that OU won't have a chance the way the BCS is measured at the end of the season?
In fact, I think the game has been so close on Nebraska's home field, I don't think Oklahoma will drop very far in the polls. Yes, UCLA might have to lose. Something might happen to happen, something else for them, but they'll still be in the running.
Absolutely. Because remember, they've had a quarterback knocked out and the other one injured. They've still hung in until the end. And now Fagan will try to keep him right in there with 2:22 to go. They try to block it. And Larson, who's done an excellent job playing, gets it off. Fagan rips free, looking for an alley. Nothing doing. Well covered that time. So Monday night, AFC Central showdown when the freak battles the bus. Javon Curse and the Titans face Jerome Bettis and the Steelers. Bettis will be mic'd up Monday night, live at 9 Eastern on ABC.
Well, Oklahoma has no chance to run any more options. You will not see Nate Hipple taking the snap from underneath the center. He's going to go shotgun. It's going to be all pass now.
And he'll quickly bring him out. 2 minutes and 6 seconds to go. Hipple forced to run. And he runs for a first down. So here are Chevrolet players of this showdown. Rocky Kalmus held the fort there at linebacker, and Eric Crouch coming up with the big plays in the money quarter. The Heisman Trophy candidate and one of the leaders showing the way here late for Nebraska. Overthrown. And let me thank some folks here. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Howard Katz. The coordinating producer of college football and our producer today, Bob Goodrich. Our director, Larry Cam. Our technical director, Monty Poling. Our associate producer, Mitch Green. Our associate director, Brian Fay. The director of production, Bob Toms. Our PAs, Kurt Thomas and Tim McDermott. The computer stats man, Anthony Holman. Our production manager, Christy Bravi. Our technical manager, Mark Towey. Senior audio, Wendell Stevens. Second down now. And Time running out on Stoops and the Sooners' great run.
Yeah, nice job by Ricketts there, number 28. Kibble is trying to throw the corner route. Ricketts is cutting off the receiver and forcing him to square off his route, and the two are not connected at all, the quarterback and the receiver. We still have 2 plays, 3rd and 4th down.
3rd down and 10. Pressure. Down at the 31-yard line, John Clanton, the nose man.
Yeah, but it was Chris Kelsey that got in there first again, coming around the corner and really flashed. Kibble out of the pocket. You see him come right around the end right here, force Kibble inside, and Nebraska continues to blitz. Look at Kelsey in there. Another mistake by that offensive line for Oklahoma. Kelsey forces Kibble wide, a sack, 4th and long.
The final minute, winding down in Lincoln.
Dead ball. Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty.
Bobby Stoops, the defensive coach. A coordinator, Frank Solich, the offensive coach for years as an assistant. The coordinator, both have moved up to be head coaches.
To the middle. And that'll do it.
Dropped it.
Nebraska beats Oklahoma. And they'll be talking about Frank Solich's call forever. Mike Stutz, number 16, a left-handed quarterback who's also a wingback, finds Eric Crouch, and he goes into the end zone for the touchdown that put the game away. 63 yards on the trick play. The biggest win of Solich's career. Nebraska will stay number 1 in the BCS. But Oklahoma will circle December 1st, and they will say, we'll meet you in Dallas. And now Stoops will go over to shake hands with his counterpart on the other side. Here comes Solich. 2 great football teams slugged it out. Great respect. And there's Eric Crouch, who caught the 63-yard touchdown pass. Let's go to Jackaroo, Jack.
Coach, congratulations. Obviously the biggest win of your career. Describe how you feel.
I'm really proud of our players, the way they've played, and they've been great all year long to work with. A great chemistry on this football team, and they just did the things they had to win. I thought it was 2 great teams out there today. Both teams, to a degree, struggled offensively at times because of the other team's great defense.
Tell me about the thought process in calling the trick play there where you make Crouch a receiver.
Well, we were looking for a time to do it all game long. We had done an awful lot of things out of that formation, and they started off with a guy deep, but as the game went on, they kept bringing him up tighter and tighter to stop some of the running game out of it, and it looked like it was we had a chance on that call at that time.
The possibility exists that you may have to meet this team yet again in the championship for the Big 12.
Well, we play Kansas next week. We're looking forward to that game, and it's always been a tough game for us down there, and so we're going to take them one at a time and see how this thing ends up.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, Jack.
And don't forget there's a big one against Colorado in Boulder.
Oh, you bet.
Over Thanksgiving Day weekend, Gary Danielson.
I don't think Oklahoma will drop that far. I would rate them very highly playing this game.
All right, 20-10. Nebraska wins it. Let's go to New York and John Saunders. John?